Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Thursday night. I'm Dixie Dave with Crusher Crossen, and we
Yeah.
are live.
You pointed the right way. You almost missed it. I seen you going the other way. We are live, and happy birthday tomorrow. It's coming up.
Thank you.
Another year older, just like the rest of us, and another year wiser. I guess you could
21
say.
again.
Yeah. So, and of course, we're going back to Dave's favorite thing. I have to say, this is your favorite show of all time on the show.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big card like this, you get the national tag team titles only because you asked.
Well, I mean, hey, we were in a bind, and nobody was stepping up, so I just said, hey, I'll jump in.
Yeah, it was like, and this is a great show. And we got some, and we're gonna have a guest with us, Wayne McCarty. He's been one of the regulars in the chat, and he's coming in with us. He was actually in attendance for this event. So he's gonna, be able to give us the fan perspective of watching it.
The funny thing I just found out while we were talking to him in I guess you'd call it the green room.
Yep.
Is this was his first ever live event.
Right, which I know he was a fan, and I would have thought he would have maybe hit a Civic Center show or something. I know the AWA would come to the Anoka Ice Arena from time to time.
Civic Center.
This was the
Mech
first
Center.
Yeah, whether it's WWF or AWA. I mean, back then we would anything wrestling, we wanted to see it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and of course I'll show that graphic, Dave, that famous graphic of the equal press coverage we got in the Minneapolis Star Tribune, right with the AWA for this show. It's pretty cool to see.
Yep, it is.
That's
Crusher, I was gonna say something. I know I'm not really a part of Forward.
Yeah,
but I caught little bits of it.
Yeah, with all the little shorts and teasers.
Well, I did actually sit down after the show was over and watched it, and watched a little bit of it in the
You're talking about the last one we did with Mitch the Kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting. Just seeing that they're close to the same age and everything.
Oh, I know. It was a topic of the show, and so I'm our fingers are all crossed. I hope something comes of this. They're definitely interested, and
oh yeah,
it's doable. I think you can see that. I think we could see that Canary Kid versus Mitch Kid. I could see that happening because they're definitely close enough to make it happen. So we'll see what happens. And that's the promoter in me. Dave, I see this stuff, and that's the whole reason I have Ricky on there with me. I want him to network with other young kids doing this. What better way to network than to come on forward?
Exactly.
Speaking of that, I was talking to our good friend Sean Hernandez again, and we got a guest coming up with him. The Hillbilly Kid, one of his other trainees, is going to be coming up on a future Forward show. So watch for that. We're just working out the dates. And of course, our next Forward show is Tank from up there in Pure Pro in Michigan, Pure Pro Wrestling. Joe Bird did an awesome job there. And Tank is a big boy. He's imagine like a Jerry Blackwell kind of big guy. And he can move pretty good. And I know there's a story there, and I couldn't really get it when I had all of them on there with Joe because it's too hard to get really into a conversation. So I'm looking forward to having Tank on that Forward.
You'll get them one by one.
Yeah, so we can really start, like we did with Mitch, deep dive, kind of get into it with
right. With them. And if our viewers on here haven't been watching Forward, it's a good way to get a glimpse at some of the potential future stars of pro wrestling.
Right. Because I'll tell you something. Some of these guys are pretty darn good. Bodie Young Prodigy here in the States. I mean, and that Future Stars Wrestling, Joe DeFalco, they've got connections. They've already had some of their guys go on into NXT and, and AEW and stuff. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a possibility that we already had Bodie on, but I want Bodie back because I want him to, I want to see him and Ricky go head to head.
Make
it
love
entertaining.
To be there for that show.
And believe me when I tell you that Bodie would love that. He's all about being in character. So, yeah, that'll be a good one. That's a future show though. But that's what Forward's all about. We want to. It's my way of trying to pass the torch, sort of,
Exactly.
And how they should be doing it today, because we couldn't do what they do today back then. We'll talk to Wayne about that too. Yeah, there just wasn't an avenue, you know, for if I went to Eddie Shark, and I've said this many times, hey Eddie, can I train? He would say, kid, come back when you're 18 and you got some more weight on you, because again, it was a big man's game, you know.
Exactly. I mean, he didn't really start getting into the smaller guys until you and Troy joined up with them.
Well, Eddie always had a soft spot for small guys because he was a small guy. So he did kind of, that's how I think he took a liking to me, because he just I think he's seen a lot of himself in me, sort of how I say the same thing with Ricky today. But so there was that. But I knew when I had at the time I wasn't going to go any further, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You know, that now it's different. It's totally different today.
You know, Crusher.
But,
I mean, you see, you probably wouldn't have gone further, but you look back at it. Some of his smaller guys, Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
Went on to become ECW heavyweight.
Jerry Lynn was small, but not. I wouldn't say small. You know, not like Waltman.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, you look at Jerry Lynn, ECW champion, WWF light heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
You know, he worked for WCW under a hood.
And I remember Jerry training. You know, when I'd go out and hang out with Eddie Sharkey, you know, he was there. He was being trained at the time. Yeah.
And you know, seeing that you brought up the name, Sean Waltman.
Yep.
X-Pac 1-2-3 Kid. I mean, look at his list of credentials.
Right.
And admittedly, you and Waltman were built a lot alike.
Yeah, the guys got us mixed up. I know that. Just because we were both known as Sean, you know. Like, guys didn't call me. You got to understand, when I was in the PWA, they didn't call me Crusher. They called me Sean.
Right.
And he was Sean. So they were both Sean. We kind of looked alike a little bit at the time, short hair and everything. And so, they got us confused. I remember Troy telling me that they thought we were they didn't realize we were two different people in the beginning at first. That was kind of funny story, and there's all sorts. We've talked about those funny stories, but Dave, we got to kind of keep moving here, because I want to get Wayne in here, and we got to get the show rolling too.
Okay. Well, our next video coming up, what do you have?
Yeah, so I'm going to show the video preview, and it's going to be, we're going to Fred Moore again, because we're going to step in order here. We're just in the garage. Yeah, the dungeon. And it's not the best. Like, you know, our early Fred Moore shows were rough. We weren't really polished even for the Armory stuff yet. So this is really just Garage 2.0 days, really, in the beginning of Fred Moore. But it's fun. It's still kind of, we're done with shoot matches though. No more of them. So this is where we're starting to transition into trying to plan things out better. Yeah, but it's still a transitional period, and I know that you guys. And by the way, I see all your comments. I'm going to bring them in as we get Wayne in here. But we got tons of comments coming in, so we'll definitely get to that. But yeah, let's just show the video preview of what's coming up on the network, and then when we come out of that, I think it'll be coming into our screen with Wayne, I believe. If not, it's going to be us, but then we're going to bring Wayne in. So let's get to that. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
We got about a minute and a half in the match, and Kelsey going to work on Thunder.
Advice, you know, the kid Kelsey, he will.
Oh, that was a close line to kid Kelsey.
They have him in.
Come on! Oh, he throws him out of the ring. It is a headlock. Crossen flips him over. Close up. Oh, did you see that? Kicks. Listen to those kicks. Both Russians in there against Steenerson. And there comes the other one, a drop kick.
The champs, we are the champs.
Sergeant Smash out into the ring against the Rock and Roller. And his tag team partner just came in, Private Paulus. The American flag, they're wrecking it. I don't believe their disrespect. Ooh, sitter. Hello. Ooh, chokehold on the ropes, smashed into the turnbuckles. Here we have the Rock and Roller. Someone in the audience shouting for the figure 4. All right. And checking if he's still around. To Kid USA Kelsey to the midsection. But they're gonna know. And here we have
Now, American Massacre, I know you don't care for the Russians just by your name. Ooh! Forearm to the head. Lick.
Yeah, this match should be a dandy. Oh,
Body slam by Crusher to the Tokyo Terror.
In the least, but I gotta give extreme confidence to the Tokyo Terror. I did not see it coming. The crowd is going wild for Crusher Crossen. See it. Oh.
Slick Steenerson against Mr. X should be quite a battle. Oh, he picks up the
body slam. Yeah. You never see that stuff going to.
National title is nothing. We're the best here in the National Wrestling Federation. Everybody knows it. We'll take on anybody that got any challengers. They got a right to. Anybody's not. Okay.
All right, we're on this one. So, Dave,
Yep.
let's bring in our special guest so we can get going because it's a big long show here. So,
Oh yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to bring him in. Wayne McCarty, welcome in. It's great to
Hello.
finally. We were saying earlier, it was great to meet you finally too.
Yes, even though we were probably in classes together.
Yeah.
There, Fred Moore.
Yeah, because Wayne and I were the same grade. Had definitely at Fred Moore together and part of my Anoka until I left school. But yeah. So I'm probably past each other in the halls many times, I would think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I was pretty quiet in school though, Wayne. I don't know about you.
Me
but
as well.
I just wasn't I wasn't like the necessary, like Jamie always says, I figured he'd be the popular kid. On the show, I was, the life of the show. But when it came to school and that whole big community, I just was very quiet.
Small fish in a big pond.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just mainly because I didn't want to be there. I hated studying. I hated school. I just hated school. And I just wanted to get home and do other things and have more fun,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
like most of
Wayne-
us, really, honestly. And I mean, I don't know too many people that liked going to school, but you had to do it. So,
Yep.
And Wayne, I'd like to say real quick, sorry for putting you on the spot like that 2 weeks ago, inviting you on, but
Oh, no problem.
I thought it'd be a good idea to get the fan perspective of this show
Sure.
as we watch it.
oh, I think so too, because Wayne was actually there. I want to say hi to our regulars, Dave. Just let them know
Yep.
that we see them. I see Nicholas Watler, right, one of our regulars. Good to see you there, Nicholas. Hello, and King Coop, one of our channel moderators. Hope y'all doing okay. Can't wait for the live stream. It's going to be good. It sure is, King. And look at the
As
size of
Crusher
this.
said,
Look at the
as
size of this guy.
Crusher said, it's one
You
of
know-
my favorites.
You know what? If I'm just thinking, Luscious Leary, this would be an opponent for him.
King Coop, oh yeah.
Yeah, much better than Pretty Boy Taylor. Although Taylor was good in the ring, but this would be a proper matchup.
Right.
Yeah. And then we got I see Gizmos there. You guys are just talking with each other, just kind of letting that go by. Here's a comment here, quick from Sky Sports Video News. He says, Crusher, your forward show is very entertaining. I can see the views are starting to rise, and it won't be long before the channel takes off. Yeah. Forward's a different show. We focus on the future, and we talk to the young kids. But what's interesting with Forward, Dave, is all these youngsters that are coming on the show with us, they're excited to be on with us, and they realize our past, they realize our history, and they know that they're better than us. They
Yep.
work as they are. But they still see the passion we had. They look through it. And,
Yeah.
And they just love to come on and talk to us about it all. So that's what's cool
Exactly.
with the new generation of indie wrestling,
And, it's like we said, there's certain people that we used to hope would recognize us.
Yeah.
And as Crusher and I have stated privately between each other, we've gotten to the point where we think we've outgrown him.
Yeah. Like I said, Carol Castle, who runs Minnesota Wrestling Hall of Fame,
Did you know
reached out.
she went to Anoka?
Yeah, I think she
Yep.
talked about it. Yeah.
Yep.
But she doesn't remember us. But the thing is, the reason she doesn't remember us back in the day is because she was going to college down
Yeah.
south, I think. So she wasn't up in the area. But no, she reached out to me initially, and I've been in touch with her ever since. And she's, you know,
And both Crusher and I have Carol's number in our
Yeah.
phones. So
went to lunch with her when I was in town the other time, or last year when I came in. Yeah,
Yep.
so, and that's enough recognition for me for, people that from that club you're talking about there, Dave.
well, it's like I said, we've outgrown a lot of them.
Yep.
You know.
It's like it's not the to each their own. They can do what they want and they can live in the old school era. I just want to keep the NWF alive, and the best way to do it in my eyes is forward.
Yeah.
To open the door to the future.
I mean, we can show everybody what we did.
Yeah.
Tell our story of what happened with us.
Yep.
And we can pass our knowledge on to future stars of wrestling.
And you know something? I know there's guys like look at King Coop's comment here. He says these previews are pretty good. The garage that the NWF was in was pretty cool. Kind of reminded you of a soundstage or the studio wrestling from back in the day. I get that everybody loves that stuff. And again, I think they're not watching it for the wrestling quality. And that's what I have to remind myself all the time. Because I look at it with like perfection now. I'm like, gosh, I wish we would have done this, and I wish we would have done that, and I wish we would have spent more time. And
as we always say, hindsight's 20/20.
Right. And but at the time, we were just having fun. Really, ultimately, that was number one criteria. But we should have been focused more on the quality side of it, though, too.
Right.
So that's probably one of my if I had you guys are always trying to find dirt on me, but if you wanted to find like a weakness of me, my weakness was I didn't care if you were good or not. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to be a part of it.
Okay, and I'd like to comment on this comment from King Coop real quick.
Oh, the hotline?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch, like the WCW hotline back in the day.
Except we didn't charge you $2-3 a minute to talk to us.
Nah, it was mainly I would just let the answer machine roll with it. I'd say, hey, leave us a message, your comments about the show or whatever, and then people, or if you want to join or whatever, and then people would either say leave their information to get a hold of them if they wanted to join, or they would request matches. Two biggest things I'd get on that hotline.
And we'd listen to it.
Yeah.
Did you set up a separate phone line for that?
Yeah, because my mom at the time let me have my own phone number, so I had my own
okay.
phone,
Mm-hmm.
so I would use my number.
Yeah.
That way it wouldn't otherwise. And I think initially I used the house line, but then she got tired of all the calls coming in. So that got me my own phone line pretty quick, which was cool back then, right? No cell phones or anything. Here's a question for you, Wayne, from Gizmo. He says, Wayne, did you know Crusher when you were in school?
I recognize you from the show as I think that's one of my classmates. Yeah. I'd catch the show on the public access and be like, yeah, I think I know that guy. You must have been in one of my classes.
Right.
But we never talked. So
yeah, because there was a lot of people in Fredmore, right?
Yeah.
In our class.
Yeah, we'd have 30 kids in each class.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a small class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, did people talk about him and his wrestling in the school? Or do you remember discussions of our wrestling show?
Probably with some of my friends. So I got a friend to go to this event here, Jim Hartman, if you remember him.
Don't remember.
Yeah. Just not a lot of talk that I can remember, but no.
But then again, I think you were commenting a few shows ago how you really didn't talk about wrestling in general much at school.
Yeah, unless you found out that somebody you knew was into it.
Right.
Otherwise, if you talked about it, you might get picked on a little bit.
Yeah,
you like that wrestling stuff.
Definitely guys that didn't like wrestling, and
yeah,
if they found out you liked it, they gave you a hard time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found that out because you two would remember back in the 80s how bad the school lunches would suck.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd do is I would have my mom stop, because I was in Coon Rapids. I'd have my mom stop at the PDQ on the way to school.
Oh, PDQs. Remember those?
And I would read my wrestling magazine during lunch class.
Yeah.
And I had a gentleman who sat across from me one day, and he was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he and I had a little bit of a heated moment.
Yeah. I never got into it with anybody like that, though. In fact, I don't remember getting into it at all with anybody. I do remember when people found out I was on the show, some people would start saying, "Oh, you're on that silly wrestling show." But then you start talking to them and you realize they don't like wrestling anyway. So it's like,
right.
Yeah. Then the ones that did like wrestling were always more inquisitive. They were like, and I think the big question would be when they found out, it's all fake, right? They would always want to reiterate that. I remember that coming up a lot. But yeah, well, let's get the watch along going, guys, because it's a 2-hour show. We can keep talking.
And to piggyback on what you said, and when people would ask if it was fake,
did you keep kayfabe?
Kayfabe was the thing back then, and you'd have,
I would definitely kayfabe my friends around the neighborhood or people around the block and stuff when I had the ring set up, and they'd come and watch us kind of doing a dark match or practice match or whatever you want to call it, and then they would notice the spring and they would say stuff like, "Oh, that isn't gonna hurt. Look at that thing; it's bouncing up and down, and that's how you're not getting hurt." And then I'd always bring them up in the ring then, and then let them take a body slam or something and let them feel it. And anybody who gets body slam for the first time, they're not ready for it. It knocks the wind. Dave knows this. It knocks the wind right out of you. So
exactly,
spring or no spring. So that's what I always used to do to the locals around the block and stuff who weren't on the show.
Yep.
Thinking of guys like Mike Vito and stuff that lived kitty corner from me, and yeah. Anyways, let's get on with the watch along here. So I'm going to start it up. I might have to adjust the volume. Let me know if it's too loud or too. I'll get you guys in the comments. Just let me know if it needs to be increased or decreased. I'll make sure you can still hear us. Yeah, it's going to be a fun show, though. I like this one. I just wish the lighting was better. We were talking about this earlier.
Yep. Well, this was kind of the pinnacle.
And I know it looks dark now, but it actually will lighten up. We don't have the lights on yet above the ring. So it's really dark now, but you'll see the lights come on, though. In fact, some of the Armory lights are still on.
Yep.
That's how we should have left it and then got the lights above the ring on. They still haven't turned them on yet. There we go. Jason was so nervous to go out there. He was afraid he was going to get booed because everybody thought it was going to be AWA. He was so worried about that. Because we had a fan complain, thought it was going to be the AWA. And Rick Pitts was a sober Rick Pitts, Dave. He's not plastered tonight.
Shocker.
Yeah. I have to chuckle about Forward, Dave. Listening to Ricky and Mitch talk last week, they're talking about double duty, having to wrestle twice, and how exhausted they were in the second match and everything. Think of the TV tapings we did back in the day when we didn't do double duty. We did triple and quadruple duty. We had to do 4 shows sometimes. And these youngsters are saying how they're exhausted after a couple matches. And that reminds me of seeing Steve out here. He wrestled 3 times tonight.
Yep.
Dr. Death, he's calling himself. So, Wayne, I think if you were there, you said you were at the corner, and I'm thinking as the camera looks, I think you might have been at the right corner back there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because that's where I went to, I believe, when I was starting to ask people.
Yep. What's he throwing out?
He's throwing poems. He made little poems.
Oh.
Dr. Destruction.
Yep. And, he's got, taking the whole, tearing a page out of Leaping Lanny Paffo's book.
Sure.
Yep.
I got to drive Leaping Lanny Paffo up to show up past Duluth in Tower, Minnesota a couple of years back.
Oh, really? He's still
Yeah.
wrestling and stuff, or just signing?
He actually wrestled in a match at that one.
Wow.
It was like I think a 6-man tag elimination. He was out probably second. He didn't even bring in actually ring gear. He wore like gym shorts and a t-shirt.
Really?
Yep.
This match is in progress, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Chad Rancor here, Dr. Destruction in the White. He passed away a couple years ago.
Oh.
What is this?
Just went down the wrong road and got into some,
Doctor, whatever his name, can't
you
take
know,
little
Some things he shouldn't have.
things he shouldn't
Can't even
have.
start
Yep.
out to take
Bad
care.
deal, but he had demons he just couldn't get rid of.
Mr. X, totally.
But he was
Well,
a
you know-
nice guy though back in the day, and he was still nice. When I knew him a few years ago, it's just couldn't kick those addictions he had, you know.
Well, you know, Crusher, it's like I was talking to my fiance about just yesterday.
Yeah.
We all had a drug that we were addicted to.
What, back here?
Yep, back in the day here. We all had one drug that we were addicted to.
Yeah,
We were all addicted to that adrenaline rush of being in the ring.
It was just so much fun. And when we started going in front of people like this, it added another layer to it, right?
Yep. You know, because then we got the true crowd reaction, not just
Dr. Destruction.
how the boys want to react.
So Wayne, how do you remember this event? Like, what are your memories?
I have very few memories from it, other than
This is the stuff I like to see.
when the last match, the main event, Pretty Boy and Luscious Larry.
Yeah.
When I think Larry had like chaps on or something like that, or some kind of pants that he took off. And there was a weird smell that came when he took those pants off.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Ben Gay or something. It just smelled really weird.
Probably the oil or whatever he put on himself, to make himself. Yeah, he was real big on his image like that.
Yep.
Look at those muscles.
Those were tearaway pants. He would just like grab them.
Just grab the front and tear them away.
Yep.
This is just one.
The entrance that Larry had, do you remember that when he came out of the garage doors and all the smoke and everything?
No, I like this was so long ago. I really remember almost nothing from this.
It was a real.
So that's why it's just so interesting to be able to see this.
Yeah.
My first live event.
He does this really grand entrance. It was never on the DVD because we had to edit it out, but and it was. I wish the cameras got a better shot of it, but you'll see it enough. But it was really like nobody was doing entrances like this, even in the business. I mean, I don't remember. Now you see all sorts of stuff, right? Fireworks.
Oh yeah.
And so Larry's entrance was really, he wanted to make like a kind of this. That was all Larry. That was his idea. That wasn't me. That was him wanting to, and I was okay with it. I remember he had a dry ice machine going in that garage. He filled the whole thing up with smoke. So when they opened the garage doors, all this smoke came out. It was a pretty cool look.
Yep.
I remember Jason telling me when he announced it, he had to point over there to let everybody know that's where he's coming from, and he said he had to bite his bottom lip. It looked so impressive through his eyes.
Yep.
Here's a comment from Damien, one of our regulars. Damien, great to see you. He says, it's funny you brought up the topic of drugs back then. Did you ever have any problem with anyone in your company using illegal substances? We won't count your smoking. Yeah, well, smoking, that was one of them. No, the only illegal substance we had problems with was Rick Pitts, really.
Yep.
And he was an adult, and he liked to drink.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, there was a few of us after the NWF ended that would get together and have a few drinks together.
Well, yeah, that. But during the show, though, I don't remember ever having an issue with anybody, that way. If they did, I didn't know about it.
Worst case scenario, I remember once we got the Dayton pole barn, you and I going out there together after it got cleaned up, and you and I sitting there on the edge of the ring, smoking a cigarette together.
I got some things to show too. Wayne provided some pictures, you guys. Of when we get done watching this, we're going to show the pictures from the Anoka Armory of a wrestling event that took place in 2005, just to show in comparison this difference in the crowd.
Yes, I was going to say, pay attention to our crowd.
Yeah.
Versus.
And this had some prominent names. You know, Sheikana and El Casey.
Now enters the ring.
Some of the big top names of the independent scene at that time here were on that show.
Yeah.
And it looks like the crowd here, you got at least like 5 rows here right in front of us.
Well, I think there's even more.
4 or 5, and probably more beyond that we can see, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that event, there's maybe 2 rows on each side.
Which weren't even all filled up.
Exactly. Lots of people dressed as empty chairs.
Exactly.
I know they had just over 400 chairs in the Armory at the time during these days. That's how we know. And they were all filled up for this one pretty much.
Could be a neck break.
And we had that section.
There were a lot of people standing in the back too, remember, Dave?
Yep, and I also remember we had that section that was wheelchairs.
Oh yeah, we always had a section for the special needs people that we brought in. We gave them free tickets. So there's about 15 people from the special needs facility. They had one of the residents was an uncle to one of our wrestlers, so we'd always give them free tickets. It was kind of like a charity thing, you know. They were big fans of the show. I mean, they'd make signs and everything. They'd really get into it. But yeah, you can see when the camera pans over, you can see, you can see some of the people standing. It's just so dark. I wish it was lighter, but brighter up. But I can't brighten this, you guys. If I try to brighten this, it gets really grainy looking.
Really grainy and probably washed out.
Yeah, this doesn't look right. But it is nice and cleaned up though, guys. And like all the VHS fuzziness is gone, and it does clean up good that way. Especially when we get the closer shots, Yeah, Tough Tony and Rock and Roll Rhinos no-showed us on this event. The only 2 that didn't show up, so our 6-man tag that we were supposed to have right here got
any idea why they didn't show up?
Not sure. I mean, they all were agreed to do it, and that would be common though. You'd have people that you'd have booked even on TV tapings, and they just don't show up.
Yep.
Not sure what happened with that.
Maybe they forgot to tell their parents or something.
Well, Reinhold's was coming back. Like, he was in the 85, and he was coming back. And Tony was, in it for all this time, but then he just decided to stop doing it. He never came back again. Tough Tony. And this is Terry Cosnapo, who just went into our Hall of Fame, and then his partner, who was just, I think that's Troy Sufka. Yeah, I believe it is. I believe that's Troy Sufka. He's not part of the Blade Runners here yet. Yeah, so Troy Sufka and...
was that before the Sting Ultimate Warrior Blade Runners, or
it was
at the same time?
Right around the same time, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I know that they were... I think they were first, though.
I don't know what to say with no other remarks.
And that's Ken Boyer reffing. He'd go on to do a lot of announcing for us. Very good at announcing. Yeah, these little guys. Now, Terry's pretty good. I was training Terry in the courtyards over there in the apartment complexes you guys lived at.
Yep.
Because we couldn't get any ring time for him because we couldn't set the ring up. So I had to get him ready for this show. This is his first match. The guy that's in the all dark, the one that just whipped him.
He comes in, but there's a foot.
So, I just had to practice with him and everything out in the open grass several evenings, getting him ready. And
so he's making his debut in front of a sold-out crowd.
Yeah, he's making his debut.
Crazy.
He did all right too. He's like, he takes good bumps and stuff, and that's how I always. Everybody says, "Well, how did you train him?" I just trained him on how to take falls. Really.
Sergeant Smash.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of offense, but more of defensive training.
Oh, but now it's He's got him.
Like suplexes, we did a lot of these.
Ooh, a suplex.
And it's not easy doing them on the ground, but when you're a kid, you can handle it.
Yep.
Wouldn't want to do it now. on the like the grass or whatever, like we did back then. That's how I was training them.
Oh, he takes his foot.
Well, Crusher, I've got my official drink of NWF Rewind.
What
Ooh, and a headbutt knocks
what
him
is he
into the
things
next
called?
point.
I got the same thing, I think. The zero sugar Dr. Pepper.
Ryan comes in,
Yep.
Yep.
but he takes
Strawberries and cream.
And Rough Ryan.
I don't know. Somebody got me onto these, and now I drink them all the time.
Sorry, I didn't get the memo. I got Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, yeah.
And they're locking up.
God, back in the day, I wouldn't touch Diet. I couldn't taste it.
Me neither back then.
Couldn't stand the taste of it.
Too close.
You know, the zero sugar stuff is pretty good.
Yeah. Although, when it comes to Coke, I want Diet Coke. I don't want zero sugar Coke.
Yeah.
Here we got a question coming in from Sky Sports. He says, Pressure, do you remember your very first wrestling match that you posted to the internet? And what was your first NWF wrestling match ever made and released on cable TV? I do remember the first one I put on YouTube.
And another 1 count.
And it was
some type of a headlock, forearm smash there to the
basically
top side. What's he gonna do?
The kind of like the trailer for the Untold Story documentary. You know, that beginning that
into the ring, taking up Destroyer number
that was like
1.
the first video I put up
body slam,
after I had gotten the documentary done. Your very first NWF wrestling match ever made and released for cable TV. I actually have a newspaper clipping of that I can bring in. I've been meaning to bring it in.
Sergeant Smash. And Smash
I'll have to show it to you, but it was in.
Smash makes
it shows basically the listing in the community section of our first show, and it says show number 1. And that was gonna be the bed mattress early stuff, way early stuff. We were racing on bed mattresses, and it was. Even back then, I did not like the look. I wanted so out of that basement. So we went to the studio right away after about 4 shows. At least the studio, it looks somewhat professional setting, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Now, Wayne, you said you liked the Group W cable era, right? Is that you?
Yeah.
What is it that you like about the cable station?
Because the studio setting, what I grew up with the AWA.
Oh, yeah.
So just kind of had that look to it. But I do remember watching some episodes that were in the backyard on Yahoo Street.
Yeah, Yoho Municipal.
Yeah, Yoho, yeah. Where I thought you guys were the first backyard wrestlers.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with what became popular in the 90s with all the light tubes and that, but
right, yeah.
Yeah, because nowadays backyarder is just referred to somebody who is not trained.
Right.
So.
And we kind of got lumped into that crowd when I did my book and documentary because it was right at the tail end of that craze.
Yeah.
And people just assumed it was from that. They didn't realize where this came from.
It was before that,
right.
But as actual wrestling now, which is all the garbage wrestling.
Right.
Right.
And they would look at this and they would, how people judge a book by its cover, and they just see it on the surface and not know anything about it and say. And so with that, there's a lot of misconstruing there.
Yeah.
But Europe, though, like I said last show or whatever, they looked at us totally different. Like they were more in awe of what we were doing, where here in the United States they were more criticizing us.
Yeah, so this is just you guys emulating what you saw in the AWA and WWF.
Which back in the day, the press coverage was always positive like that. They were just, But I'm talking about when I did my book and documentary, the reaction from that period. Now, even Wade Keller, he gave me some coverage, but he did not deep dive with me at all.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted he mentioned it when I sent him all the stuff. He covered it, but it was just like a small plug. There's more like. Then he wanted to keep his distance,
Sure.
I think these guys, they're just kind of they don't want to create a controversy with their own product. Yeah, and their reputation.
You know, they've got their own reputations. And...
Yeah, he was known for covering WWF, WCW. Right. You want to be, here's some former kid wrestlers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's afraid of the backlash he would get.
Yeah.
But you know, like we said about somebody else, you know, we get a lot of positive response from people who have been names in the business. I mean, Crusher went out and did after the book release and DVD release, he went out to, I believe it was Maryland or something like that.
Maryland to a fan fest.
Yep.
We had a whole booth and everything.
You know, Abdullah the Butcher, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, Rick Martel, Greg Valentine, King Kong Bundy. They all talked to us about it.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Nice. They were very, a lot of them were curious and interested that didn't know. Some of the guys knew. Bockwinkel remembered us. Talked to me about it in the elevator. Remember having conversations with, in the office about it, is how he said it. And I was so humbled with all of that I didn't ask anymore. I didn't say, well, what did you guys say? What were you talking about? I don't even know if he'd remember, but he just was kind of in passing conversation anyway, so. But I had given him a copy of my book. I gave Nick a copy, and
now what's he got?
So he was talking to me about it, as we were going up to our rooms.
In a late drop.
Did he know of it as this was going on?
Yeah,
back in the 80s, because he was here in Minneapolis, so.
Yeah, he was saying that he remembers this from back in the day, having conversations in the office. Is what he said. Mm-hmm. Meaning with Vern, because I was always talking to Roy Nelson, who was Vern's agent. I was talking to him on a regular basis, and all these events and everything, keeping them posted what we were doing. Because I was so hoping they would send somebody out. Right? They never did, but that was why I kept talking to him.
Yeah.
Because that's who I try to call and talk to Vern, and they'd put me in with Roy, which is his agent.
So the AWA was full aware of what we were doing. They just...
Oh, yeah. And remember, Vern was suing people for using All-Star Wrestling. It was in the papers. That's why Chris Barger's not on the show, because he thought we were going to get sued. Because he just read an article about another outfit getting sued. And I said, Chris, they're aware of what we're doing. I send them everything. I call them, I talk to them. So I think Vern just turned a blind eye to us. He isn't going to go after a group of kids. That would just ruin his reputation. So.
If he's going to go after anybody, it'd be you.
Yeah.
Who runs the promotion? So.
But Chris was kind of a weird duck that way. He was thinking he was going to be the president someday, so he couldn't have anything like this happen in his mind. Yeah. I think he really regrets it, knowing the big crowd we had, though. So now we got Steve coming out again as Mr. X.
Was there any pay for all the other wrestlers that were on the event?
No, nobody ever got paid.
Okay.
What we did, though, with this, we had a pretty good gate here, because there's close to 450 fans. I say, give or take, because we don't know the exact count, but based on the tickets that we sold, because we had around 200 advance tickets sold for sure, and we had a little bit more than that comes through the door. And based on the ticket prices, which I'll show you guys all, because I have all that, adults were $4.50, kids were $3. And if you average it out, probably you got about $4. There were more adults than kids, so I'd say about $4 a ticket. And if you do the math, that's about $1,600 to $1,800 right there. In ticket sales, we sold the program guides for 75 cents, and I think we sold 200 of those. It's another couple $100 there, and then we also would sell extra tickets for the $50 cash drawing. People could buy more tickets. So we sold, I don't know how much we got there. Plus, we were running our own concessions. And we got a lot of money for, pop, chips, candy bars, and all that. So I think we had around we cleared about $2,500 or more. And that was a lot of money back in these days on this event. So what we did is we had a big pizza party down at Dell's on First Avenue there. And we got the whole basement reserved, and we watched the show. And
like they say today, wrestlers sometimes get paid with a hot dog and a handshake, but back then it was a pizza.
It was a pizza party, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something with it, to help, have fun, because we're all kids. And it was fun. We had the whole basement reserved. They hooked up the VCR to the big screen down there, and we watched this show and played games or whatever they had down there, video games and stuff. It was fun.
And now the Dells is gone, our go-to spot in Anoka.
That was good pizza too, man. Dell's pizza was good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anoka was known for having some good pizza joints back then, though.
Backstreet Pizza.
Backstreet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just now, I believe Serums.
There's Lord Jim's on Main Street was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Hollywood Pizza on the other side of First Avenue. It's okay, but that's another one.
Oh, and there was one by the high school. Can't remember the name of it. Right next to Kemp's.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
There's a pizza place.
Much. Here's a question from. Okay, so King Coop's just making dinner, but he's gonna be coming back and forth. Got that. And then Sports Talk says, Sean, did wrestlers in the company hang out with each other outside of the shows? Yeah, we did. Quite a bit, actually.
Oh, yeah. We were all friends outside of the show.
Yep.
Well, that was a quick one.
Yeah, but we had a lot of matches to get through. This is one of our bigger cards. And Nick, I remember him saying he didn't get to do that stick thing, and he had to get his sticks and do his little twisting of the sticks. He was big on that. Mr. Destroyer, he's a good guy. Nick was a good guy. Good hand in the ring, really. And Steve was the best. Steve was better than any of us when it comes to taking bumps. No doubt about that. We say what we want about him as far as being an adult in the kids wrestling show and trying to take it over with Larry, but can't take nothing away from what he did in the ring as far as, he brought me up to a whole different level.
So did he wear the mask to not show how old he was?
I think so, because his first character was Mr. X, and I think that was to hide his identity a little bit that way, because he knew he was coming on a show that was entirely comprised of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that, I was going to say, Dave, it's not because he's... Remember, Michael Jackson didn't happen. Once the Michael Jackson thing happened, then parents was on their radar.
Yeah.
But at this time, it wasn't. But I think Steve still felt maybe a little uncomfortable being an adult with kids. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to hide his face like that way. Yeah. What are you going to say, Dave?
Oh, and I was also going to say, wasn't there at one point something where he supposedly got hurt at work?
Yeah, his workman comp claims. But that was more during Eddie Sharkey's days. That's why he was managing.
Yeah.
Because he had a workman's comp claim going on. And I think he got mad at me. When I did my last match, I took Steve and I ran him into all the ring posts in George's and Fridley. And then I ran him out in the parking lot and everything. And he's like, I got a workman's comp claim. You can't do it. He had to take all those bumps as I ran him into each ring post.
I don't believe it. The Super D.
So yeah, this is all just a big angle. We had to strip the Super Ds of the titles. They said they were injured in Madison, Wisconsin. None of that was true. They were going to soccer camp, and their mom did not want to risk them getting hurt.
I know.
So because they could have got hurt, she's like, you're not wrestling. We've got a lot of money out for this soccer camp.
We'll take advantage of the series.
It was probably the right decision because they both went on to become professional soccer players. And the whole idea was, I said, all right, we're going to strip you guys to build up for the rematch. And that's how
after the soccer camp.
Yeah, after the soccer camp. So we had to get a team in. This was a last-minute decision, so I had Terry Block and Terry Kosnop put masks on, and they're going to become this replacement tag team. So both Terry Block and Crossen, but they're really good though. They're good. They're underrated for our guys. And Jason didn't know what their team was, so he just called him Block and Terry. Or Terry Block, and the other one was Terry Crossen.
I'm sure the Super Ds can't be that happy about losing that belt.
No, the Super Ds.
And that's Bulldog the Butcher commentating with CJ Pregler, and he was wrestling with us, but now he just wanted to stop wrestling. He wanted to become like the Jesse Ventura guy in the commentating. So he tries to be the color guy that's outspoken. That would be Terry Block right now in the ring, or Invader 1 in a mask.
So you just mentioned CJ Pregler.
Yeah.
Was the C for Chris?
Yep.
Do you know what he's doing now?
He's a teacher.
Really?
Yep.
In Richfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. My when I saw or on one of the past shows you say CJ Pregler, I'm like, I wonder, because he was a student council advisor there at the STEM school in Richfield where my daughter went to school.
Okay, sure.
And
yeah.
I never got the chance to ask him. So wow.
Yeah, if you would have talked to him about it, he totally remembers.
Yeah.
He was my stepbrother.
Okay, really? Huh.
Yep. That's how he's involved.
That's funny.
He was a big fan, but he was in Richfield, and he couldn't always make our TV tapes, but he'd always come to these big shows.
Ah.
And
Yeah, because my daughter was on the student council with him, so yeah.
Yeah, he was too small to wrestle, but he wanted to do the announcing.
Yep. And that's how I got into photography. I always thought I was too small to wrestle.
Yeah.
So one way I'd get into it is being a photographer.
Saw a lot of the guys. I mean, Mick Karsh did it. Bruce Kreitzman, Eddie's ref for a long time. He was a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette, he started as a photographer.
Yeah.
One of the longtime WWE referees. He started off taking photos.
Sure. I wish we would have had you doing that around this time. I'd love to have more
me
pictures.
Too.
Paul Heyman was a photographer in the beginning.
Yep, that's right. Weasel his way into Madison Square Gardens.
For the few
Take
pictures,
photos.
For the few photos I got from these events, though, we got some pretty good pictures out of it.
Yeah.
Just didn't have a lot of them. We had a really good camera, though. We had a really nice Nikon camera.
Mm-hmm.
That was like at the time a $300 camera, and it was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah.
And that camera disappeared from my house, and I have a suspicion where that camera went, along with my little sister's Teddy Ruxpin, which was again another very expensive toy.
Yep.
And both these things disappeared from my house one day.
And they're probably ended up in a pawn shop somewhere.
Yep.
Hammer, sledgehammer.
Just not right in Anoka where they'd be obvious.
Right.
And we know the culprit of it.
Now this guy here, Todd Sufka, he would be Troy's younger brother. He could take a lot of abuse, this little guy. Like, he takes some pretty severe clotheslines and stuff in this match as it is.
Oh, and a suplex.
But yeah, our technique wasn't quite like them suplexes they're doing. They're muscling them over. You know, it's easy to look at this with 2020 hindsight vision now, but what was the crowd like, Wayne? Like, what do you remember the crowd being like? Do you remember much?
Excited, yeah. That's what I remember. So is that CJ right there?
That's CJ right there.
Okay.
Or Chris. He goes
it was a loud crowd, yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, like, too, remember, this is the kayfabe days. I always remind people this. So, you know, if you think back to the matches back then, they weren't crisp. They weren't picture perfect. They were rough because you were trying to emulate that this is real, right?
Yeah.
And if it's real, it's not going to be picture. You know, if it's too choreographed, people catch on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thinking. At least my
unlike today's product.
Yeah, it's totally opposite of what it is now.
I think even back at that time, people realized that it's scripted or not real.
Oh yeah.
But the fans that are there, they don't care.
Right.
But that's what people. Even I didn't get it when I was running the show. Vern never got it. They just want to keep selling the kayfabe. They want people to say this is real, and that was our thinking too. We didn't know the word, but we would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, I even had family that
What is it? Looks like he's trying to
I wouldn't tell the truth to him.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you're right, Wayne. I think first of all, the cat was out of the bag. The 2020 report happened. I mean,
Yeah.
so you knew for sure. There shouldn't have been a doubt in anybody's mind now at this point. But
And I had older siblings that had gone to AWA shows, and they'd come back saying you could clearly see that they didn't connect on their punches.
yeah,
You know, so you knew that it wasn't real and scripted. So, but as long as you enjoyed it, you're there yelling at the wrestlers, having a good time.
yeah.
That's all that mattered.
You know, back in the 80s, wrestling was an escape from reality for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
Looks like some
His
sort
head
of
is dazed.
DDT.
You know, you go to a live wrestling event, it was like going to the
Let's
movie.
go into the Blade Runner
You
Yep.
suspended
But-
your
Let's
disbelief.
be.
You can interact.
Oh, and a close
That's the
up.
cool part. You get to yell at the wrestlers, cheer for them, have them yell back at you.
Yep.
These little guys didn't always communicate real well, like I noticed in some of these situations. When I'm talking about communicating, it's like in-ring communicating. Like I would always do it where if I lock up, that's where I do most of my talking. Like, you know, you lock up and then you tell them what you're going to do. Or you go under the ropes, you tell them what you're going to do.
So did you at least have the finishes planned
Yep.
and told them before they went out what the finish was going to be?
That's a costly
Yep.
mistake. Throws him into the turnbuckle.
And did you try to stick to times that you'd give them? Like go out there for 8 minutes or 10, and they try to keep track of that, or they went as long as they wanted? Ooh.
That'd be a question for you, Sean.
Is Sean frozen?
I think so. But yeah, for the most part, we'd know the finish,
Yep.
and I don't remember if we know our time frames.
knows how to do.
Well, I disagree with that.
But yeah, this was a fun era
Just a
for
minute,
us.
Mr. Otto. This is supposed to be unbiased commentating. Now, Crusher Crossen,
And let me think.
obviously the world heavyweight champion. We cannot pass judgment on
Going
either one
back,
of these
thinking
until
about
we
it.
see them both in the ring wrestling.
I lived in an apartment complex in Coon Rapids. I was right by the junior college.
Okay, right by Anoka Ramsey. Yep.
Yep. And Todd and Troy Sufco were neighbors down the hall. And I want to say Terry lived in the apartment complex across the road.
Oh, just throws him
Vandar
over.
the Barbarian
Ooh,
lived
leg drop.
downstairs from me.
We-
Did you do some recruiting of your neighbors there to get them on, or did they come to you?
Very close match.
Actually, Terry Block came to
That was
me.
a
All right, can you guys hear me?
suplex.
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Did I frozen all that time?
You did,
Yeah,
yeah.
you were frozen all that
How
time.
that happened? Sorry. Go ahead.
So
David.
ask about
Finish your story.
Wayne was asking about. I couldn't remember. Did we know approximate time frames? And you kept track of it in the back, and
Oh yeah, so and I was answering all that, but you guys, no. So the time frame wasn't. I didn't care on the Armory shows because we could go. I didn't worry about it here, unless it was a time limit draw or something like that. But
right.
on the TV tapings, that was much
30
more of a
seconds.
factor because we had an hour
Right.
show, right, 60 minutes. So
Yep.
that one we did get into the times quite a bit. We'd say you got to keep under this amount or whatever.
Very close match, ladies and gentlemen.
But for this one, you just let them go out there. Here's your finish. Get to it.
Yeah, we give them the finish, tell them how who's going to go over. Sometimes we wouldn't even
Yep.
tell them how to finish it. We just say you're going to go over. You figure out the
And leave it
match.
up to them.
Going
Yep.
wild.
That's how Eddie was quite a bit too.
Mhm.
Ray Webby was doing the booking, but he would have kind of a bit get into it. He'd want to know the finish,
Goes for the
Right.
Yeah.
But
two, a three.
yeah, and that's not how I just. There were some times, though, when we did get into quite a bit of... There would be spots we wanted to make sure happened in a match.
Well,
so we get into that, too.
Like in my match on this show.
Yeah,
we had a big storyline for it.
Right, with the knee and everything.
Yep.
That's why he does the headbutt to the knee. It wasn't a mistake. It was like he was purposely trying to hurt his knee. Yeah.
To a shot at the title.
Let's see. Let's see what I all missed here.
What? CJ, correct.
So Damien says, Pressure, even though the matches are somewhat scripted, you could never count on everything going as planned, especially when you are dealing with high-paced, high-flying action. Yeah. And sometimes mistakes happened. In fact, I should have pointed it out. That match we just watched, that one that was a tag match with Sergeant Smash and Ref Ryan earlier, that finish was completely wrong. Smash ended up pinning him, and it was a mistake. That's why he covered his mouth when he got up, like, oh, I fucked up. But, it's like, we just went with it. I don't think I was mad at him, but I know that one, the other team was supposed to win, and it was a mistake.
And my favorite match on the card now.
Oh, yeah, Dixie, Dave, and Rattlesnake Jake. It's actually Mr. Destroyer in a mask for this. And the Invaders, one of my favorites, especially Terry Block. He was good.
Yep. Good in the ring.
No doubt about that.
Good in the ring, rough on the mic.
Terry's the littler guy.
Yep.
Yeah, just a train wreck on an interview. Like, he could not do a promo. He'd get the camera jitters. Like, his voice would be shaking, his mouth all dried up mouth. He just couldn't do it. But totally opposite as far as how good he was in the ring. He was really good.
And the odd thing about this, Wayne, is Terry, the Invader that's in the ring, is the one that brought me into the league.
Oh, okay.
Definitely have.
Was it Terry?
Yep, it was Terry.
I know you're in the same neighborhood, yeah.
I had actually spent the night at I believe it was Terry's house over on Hollywood Boulevard. The night before the
show?
May event.
Or May, yeah, that's right, because you were in the audience at May, yeah.
One of the invaders here.
So Dixie Dave, a little trimmed out right now because he had just come back from the summer and his dad would be on his case all the time for trying to stay in shape, right?
Yeah. Rattlesnake Jake.
He's a former military guy, and he wanted Dave to be in shape.
A little bit of a stiff shoulder tackle.
Yeah, Chad was kind of stiff to you in this whole match, when you watch him. That's Chad is the bigger invader. Chad.
How many matches had you had before this, Dave? How many matches had you had before this? 10?
I think 10 or 15 matches because I was gone during the summertime.
Right. And you had just came in at the end right at the beginning of the summer.
Yep.
See, what we were struggling with on the show at this point in time is we had no place to tape weekly shows from.
Yep, because we gotten kicked out of Fred Moore.
Yeah, Fred Moore didn't renew our pilot because of the way I went over Mr. Daniels' head. He did not like that. And then I did some things, like Mrs. Kipwooth, I knew at Sandburg Middle School. She was running community school, and I said, I got a thing lined up with her to do. We did it in the Sandburg gym. We did a show, after school thing with all the kids came. And we had about 20 or 30 kids from Sandburg there, and after school to watch it. I wish I still had those tapes, but those are one of the ones that got lost in the mailing when I'd send them out to all the systems. But it was a good show, though. I found the newspaper article in the Tribune showing the match results for that show. So I kind of got a little bit of an idea what the matches were.
Shoulder of Invader 1. Oh, and a clothesline. Come on, ref.
That was actually, Dave, what we're talking about is, did Mr. Macho ever wrestle Mr. Destroyer because they were in that feud? It was on Sandburg.
Yep,
that was... Yeah, they had, according to the match results, they had a match.
Yep, there I was going to try and go for a hamstring.
Am I froze up again, you guys?
Well,
No.
no,
Okay.
You're still going.
Now I'm worried. I'm thinking I'm going to froze up. I'm going to keep asking.
You must be dizzy.
See, there, Chad just belted you
Yeah.
right there.
Trying to kick out.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of getting my senses back together.
The leg.
I'm like,
You
screw
just,
this.
it's just
crap.
tagging out. It's time to change.
Get the break.
Now Nick could handle Chad. And
And he takes
Chad was a
out.
big, I mean, he was in football and everything. He was a tough kid.
Takes him out.
Yep.
The reason he stopped wrestling is because he hurt his knee in football.
Takes out the rattlesnake. He's getting up on the top.
Usually that's the reason football players go into wrestling.
Yeah. Well, it was just
They
too
get some
much.
injury and they're out of football, then go into wrestling.
It was just hurting too much at the time. He just couldn't keep doing it.
The Invaders, tag team champion.
Double suplex. But these are the common moves of the day, Wayne. You know this.
Mhm.
Suplexes,
Oh, yeah.
body slams, clotheslines, elbow drops, right?
Yep.
That was the '80s style, really. You know. And if you were really good, you'd do some other things. So you know what we really lack, though, Dave? I was thinking about this. We could do the big moment moves, but what we lacked was the concept of putting a match together, like
Right.
a really good, like we could do it a bit, but a lot of our matches should have been better orchestrated as a match, you know, to tell a story kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at. I think we could have been better there. If there's one thing we lacked in all phases, sometimes it was that.
Can't say much for you.
Plenty of meat.
You probably don't even know how to wrestle. Well, that may be true.
I see a
Mr.
comment
Otto.
coming in
But
for you,
then
Dave.
again,
Here, I'll bring it
back
in.
to the match. A lot like me.
Sports Talk says, Dave, what was your big move in wrestling in a wrestling match? Oh, I know the answer to this one.
Back to the
Well,
match.
I'd use
What's he doing?
splashes
Invader number 2 trying to
and
set up for a
avalanches.
figure four leg lock, which is a
Splash
submission
would be the
hold.
one I
That's
would
a
think
hold.
of.
Yep.
What's he doing? He pushes him in. What is this? Oh, rattlesnake Jay coming in. What's the ref is holding him back? No, the kid. It was a tag. It was.
I wasn't a
official
big
tag.
fan of my match tonight, guys.
And what's he doing? Oh, try to set up for a
tell you
suplex.
that.
What's he doing?
I'm trying to remember, was it you and Macho?
Yeah, me and Macho. And Mike feels the same. I had lunch with him when I was in the cities last time.
Yep.
And we both agree we could have did a better match. We had better matches on our TV show. You know, our TV tapings than tonight.
Yep.
Sometimes you just
Well,
throw
that's
a,
one thing that we're going to need to work on doing
Oh, leg drop.
is having a reunion,
Working on the
you
leg
know,
very
full-blown
lightly.
reunion with all the guys. Try
Well,
and-
Mike said that if I come back again, he wants to definitely get together with us. So we
Yeah.
can definitely do that.
Invader number 2 kicking him out of it. Obviously very exhausted at this one. Irish whip.
Wayne, I know you said you had went to Eddie Sharkey with my book. Remember that?
Yeah, I showed him that. Yep.
Do you remember what he said?
Not really. Just that other than, you know, he remembered working with you.
So he did remember then, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
I know
Whether or not he remembered or not, you know, sometimes you just agree and say, yep.
When I talked to him, he acted like he remembered, but it was one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, does he remember?
Exactly. He's seen a lot. He's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Talk about a man who's got decades in the business.
Yep.
Here I did find out though from Eddie why he was upset with me at the time, and it was because I moved to Wisconsin, and I couldn't be fully committed like I used to be.
Right.
So it wasn't that he was upset; he just didn't think it was a good fit anymore. You know, traveling back for a match, getting a match, and go. You know, and he had Waltman coming in, who was a lot like myself, so he didn't. If you notice, Eddie never booked me and Waltman at the same show because he didn't
Right.
want to
Really?
have too many small guys. Yeah. So like I would get one show, Sean would get the next. I would get one, then Sean would go. We'd alternate.
And these are all at Roper's or George's?
Yeah, at George's, yeah. It was Ray Webby who said, "What do you think about working a match with Waltman?" He asked me. I said, "I'll do it." And he goes, "I guess I do wrestle for Shelter. I think that would be a good match."
Huh.
So yeah, let's do it. But then me and Eddie had our fallout, and I never continued.
Ah.
So yeah, that's how that kind of didn't happen. But Troy wrestled him. Slickster did.
It was at Roper's where I actually first started taking wrestling photos.
Was that where you started?
In '93, yeah.
Yeah.
So I met the photographer at the time, and he asked if I had a camera with me. So he asked if I wanted to start shooting photos of ringside.
Yeah.
That's how I got in. I think my first match had Lightning Kid and Jerry Lynn against Horse Psychopath and Tommy Ferrara.
Yeah, Tommy Ferrara was training back in the day when I'd go to Eddie's camp. I remember him.
Yep.
Oh, now we're closing in on the finish of the match.
Figure 4 leg, yep. Here comes that botch slam that Dave did that cracked Terry's ribs. Right there.
Jake is just going wild.
Yeah, Terry is walking around with a big ace bandage around his ribs. I said, what's going on? He goes, cracked my ribs on the match. Yeah. This is, Chad's fine. This was the angle. Hurt his knee. But Terry's not okay.
Nope.
And ribs suck. Like, you hurt a rib like that, it just hurts to breathe. And you had Chad Rancor managing.
Chad over all the way out the ring.
You see that, Dave? You had Dr. Destruction managing you guys? I just realized that, yeah. Because it was supposed to be Dr. Destruction and the Ice Dragon against the Invaders. We had to suspend Chris Downs. For real. I used to use suspensions, Wayne, as disciplinary on the show. If somebody got out of line, you would get suspended.
Oh, yeah? With no fines?
Yeah, like we'd suspend them because they wanted to be on it. And so that's the best way of
getting them in line?
Yeah, to get them in line. Chris was a great character, great heel and everything, but man, he was hard to handle out of the ring. Kind of a little chip on his shoulder with everybody back then. I mean, we didn't get in fights, but he just definitely had an edgy attitude.
Boy, I'll tell you, he makes good pizza.
Yeah, he does. His pizza place in the... What mall is that?
Maplewood.
Maplewood Mall, yeah. The Slice. If you're ever that way, Wayne, that's really good pizza.
Okay.
It's in the food court.
If you're ever in Maplewood Mall, go to a pizza slice, and if you see a gray-haired guy there,
that's the Ice Dragon.
That's the Ice Dragon.
Yeah.
So this was a street clothes match with Kid Kelsey and Slick Steenerson, and Steenerson does all those really good timber falls in this match. We called it the timber fall. He looked like a tree getting chopped down when he'd do his fall.
Street clothes here. This is a no DQ, no counter.
Okay, here's a question for you, Crusher.
Okay. So what was it like booking the matches? Well, a lot of politics. I mean, a lot of people... I mean, it was fun to put the card together and everything. And I used more of a... In these days, like around this time, I was using the committee, so I'd have 3 or 4 of us figuring these matches out.
Yep.
You know? And then... but sometimes guys would like... They didn't always like having to put somebody over, especially as kids. You know, they didn't always think like adults. So, see all that smoke coming into the ring right here?
So he's already got the machine on?
No, it was Steenerson. He goes, he heard Larry was going to have smoke, so he goes, see that fire extinguisher? Why don't you blow it out behind me? And I'm thinking it's a CO2, and I'm like, yeah, that'll look cool. I didn't read the label. It was that powdered one. So we got powdered, this crappy powder coming into the armory. Everybody's like coughing and stuff. The janitor was pissed because he had to clean it all up.
Yep.
Because it left a mess.
Steve was pissed because he got on the belt.
Yeah. It was not a good thing. You'll just see the whole hazy cloud floating into the armory here, and that's what it was. Steenerson's bright idea to use that fire extinguisher. So that's why they're dressed in street clothes, is because it's a street clothes match.
There is no counter.
Yep.
There is no DQ.
So is that basically no DQ then, or?
Yeah, no disqualification.
Yep.
No time limit. I mean, I think the rules come in here if they haven't already. Yeah, I think we're doing it. I'm typing it up as we speak.
Someone ought to get that whip. Steenerson.
King Coop says, like, did any of the other wrestlers complain about who was going over? Yeah, sometimes, depending who. Most of the time, no. Yeah, there it is. No time limit, no disqualification, no counter. Most of the time, they didn't complain. Like, I'll give you an example. Terry Block, he would do whatever you told him to. If you said, hey, Terry, you're going to get pinned tonight, no problem. And he gained the respect of so many of the kids on the show because of that attitude.
The new heavyweight champion.
Yep.
There were other guys, though, that would argue sometimes with the finish. It just depended who it was.
And this is
But most of the people would go with whatever we said.
That also goes on any independent show today as well.
Yeah.
People don't want to lose the match, or
I think there's a lot more pride in it than there ever used to be, and they
don't realize it's just a story.
Right.
It's got to be used to continue storylines and sell tickets.
You know, back in the day, like Heenan used to say, if you're in this for anything more than money, you're a fool.
Yep.
But I think today the indie guys look at it like they really take pride in their gimmick, and they want to be over all the time. I think. You know, in the back of their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see. King Coop says, the outside brawling is pretty good. Those stiff shots to the head, though. He said, this was some good storytelling, though. Yeah. I mean, we were getting better. We were definitely better than we were, say, a year ago, right?
Steenerson is nothing but a wimp. Look it.
Kind of. Steenerson was a heavy kid. I mean, he doesn't look it, but he was probably 250 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember he stepped on the scale because in '87, after the next card from this, we did a no slam, no belt match, and I couldn't pick him up, and I said, Troy, how much do you weigh? And he told me, I said, I don't believe it. And he stepped on a scale, and I watched for myself. He was a legitimate 250 pounds.
Get this macho man on.
He somehow figured it out in the match, but at the time I just couldn't get him up. He was just too heavy.
And then, as I remember, Kelsey missed his, or not Kelsey, but Whaley missed his cue.
Yeah, because what I figured I could do is I could get him up, but I'd need help. So Mike, his partner, was going to pretend like he's trying to grab him, but he's really pushing him over for me to get it to work. Well, I was too far away. Mike couldn't reach him, and the adrenaline alone, I was able to slam him. You know, in the heat of the moment of a match.
Uh-oh, foreign object.
Yep, because they could, use any foreign objects they wanted, so everybody had.
Then he doesn't have to hide it.
He doesn't have to hide it, but he's got all that sand or whatever.
Oh, is he going to powder the eyes?
Yeah, he was famous for doing this. He always would do the powder.
What does Mr. Macho keep on this jacket for?
It was actually flour, but it looked good, and flour didn't hurt. If it was salt, it would be burning your eyes. So we use flour.
The flour expands better. It's not as dense as salt.
Right, and it ultimately just didn't hurt if it got in your eyes.
I don't know who I'm going for.
I don't know how we figured that out, but you know where we stole that from, Wayne? The whole throw in the sand.
Yeah.
The whole Mr.
Fuji?
Saito. No, Mr.
Oh,
Saito.
Saito.
With
Okay.
Hogan. He did it to Hogan with the trophy.
Yeah, when he brought the trophy.
Yep.
Came back from Japan.
Yeah, at least that's what was in my mind.
Yep.
But Troy did that move all the time with that flour. We did it at Sandberg, I remember. He did it in the garage when he first joined.
Plus, flour was cheap.
Yeah.
That's sand.
I think that was Tim's mom there.
Irritating his eyes.
Oh.
What does Mr. Macho got in his bag of tricks? Oh, kick.
Super kick to the stomach.
It's just a matter of time before someone is pinned or submitted.
What's that?
I don't remember if Kathy was there or not.
I believe that was her, because I know what she looked like.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
It just wasn't a good shot. It was so dark. I'm still trying to think if we can see Wayne, if the camera would ever get over to that corner. Because you would be, I think, in the right corner as we look, on the opposite side of the ring. I think. It could have been the other corner, but I think it was that side. We'll find out when we get to that $50 cash drawing and see which way I go.
Yeah, that should show us.
Yeah.
First of all, he is a dumb wrestler. He don't know how to wrestle. And
that's crazy that you remember that I came to you.
Yeah. One of the few things I remember from the show.
Yeah.
And Luscious Larry.
We always would pick a person from the crowd because we wanted it to be legitimate.
Yeah.
And on our very first show, at the 86 show in May, the name that got drawn was one of the special needs people. And he got the biggest applause of the night.
Uh-huh.
And everybody thought it was rigged for him. But it wasn't. It wasn't. It was legit.
He goes over.
People thought it was just too much of a perfect setup, you know?
Definitely.
Yep.
Slits Steenerson is hurt.
Yeah, I just wish it was a little bit brighter. It's kind of dark.
Yeah.
He's hurt.
Especially on the outside of the ring stuff.
Ooh, and a kick to the lower. Oh, and a knee. Oh.
Macho hit me with the chair.
That? Something was flown across the ring. Oh. Only a 1 count. Switch over. 2 count.
Uh-oh, now what's Troy got planned?
He got what he deserved.
It's just dark, huh? I wish it was brighter. I mean, it's okay in the ring, but it's just when we get outside the ring, it gets really dark. You know?
Yeah, it's almost like there's just one light above the ring and that's it.
I know. Like
you see that hot spot right there? Yeah.
There was like 5 lights up there, but they just, I don't know if we have them angled right, you know?
Okay.
He had all the right in the world to do it. Because Crusher is nothing.
Yeah, it is kind of dark.
He's going to have to. Uh-oh.
It was just so cool to be in front of this many people, though. Like, this was our biggest. The first Armory card was pretty good, about 300 to 350. But this one, and then the last one we did in March, well, the one I don't have in March, the Night of Wrestling one, that was a pretty good crowd, too. I'd say around 300 on that one, maybe.
I don't know if you've seen it, but he does got a cut on
and that's the one where Luscious Larry went against Derek Dukes.
Oh.
Yep.
But Dukes wrestled in a mask for that one.
Yeah, it's the Mall or something like that.
The Punisher or something.
The Punisher.
But
I actually just sold the photos to a TV show where they're doing a show on Mark Gastineau. And as you know, Derek Dukes was one of the first people to take a fall to Mark Gastineau in the boxing ring.
Oh, really?
And they had bought a couple of my photos of Derek Dukes to put on the broadcast. So if you got HBO Max and watch Rich and Shameless, the episode with Mark Gastineau, you can see a couple of my photos of Derek Dukes.
Really?
From Ropers and Fridley in 1993. Which is funny because back then I made no money from taking photos that year until 30 years later.
Yeah.
When I actually made some money for selling photos to a TV show.
Well, you must have a lot of photos, though, from all the years you were taking pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got one right here from the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Wow, that's
Shawn Michaels and Triple H there on the cover.
That's cool.
That was from Rochester, Minnesota. A couple others there of AJ Styles I took when he was here for MPW.
Yeah.
And that's the first photo I had in the magazine there. Wrestler Sumi Sakai against Ron Maru.
So did you do most of it with those folks out in New York with like Pro Wrestling Illustrated?
Yeah.
And all that?
Yeah, I was a contributing photographer of Pro Wrestling Illustrated for over 15 years.
Yeah.
Had photos and also Inside Wrestling, the wrestler, when those were still around.
Yeah, they gave me pretty good rates for my when I advertised in there for my.
I just picked some old magazines up at a garage sale and flipping through them. And I'm like, oh, there's your ad.
Yeah.
Yep. From like, I think 97 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When I get back into wrestling, the first person I am going after is Crusher Crossen.
Here's the Star
He
Cage
just
87
makes me
announcement
sick.
right here.
Yep.
We will be having.
It was
just
supposed to be in
minutes away, we
February.
will be having a 10-minute intermission. Then after that, it will be Crusher, Crossen.
You're trying. You're trying to get
Mr.
AWA wrestling
Macho.
personalities to be on hand. All right, now we're switching to. I have to, because it's a 2-hour event. I got to switch. So that's what the break is. Now we're going to the second half of the show. Here's mine and Mike's match. I'll tell you though that.
He's got my U.S. title on.
Sorry, the video stopped and started again.
So who did you get to make your belts?
We made them ourselves. Steve Engstrom was the one who kind of showed us.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's the one who showed us how to do them.
Wow.
And then like Mike made that one. And we generally use like sheet metal as the base, and then we use chrome auto tape to get them shiny. And then we just get all the different things we needed from the fabric store for jewels or emblems or the trophy shop between the two places.
Wow. A lot of indie promotions in the 2000s would either buy like a replica belt from WWF, like or a U.S. title or something, or there was a company that would sell independent wrestling belts, or just like a generic world title that was used at a lot of different indie promotions.
Well, I'll tell you, Eddie Sharkey was impressed. Like when I did the first event with him right after this show, we went to Champion Legion with Eddie, like a month later from this event. And when he seen my world title, the blue one up there, he was like, "This is really good." He was impressed. He was wanting to know how we made them.
Best wrestlers I've seen yet.
And they weren't. I mean, this is much. What we've replicated is really nice. Like they weren't that good. Because those are properly replicated belts now. But even for at the time, though, they were pretty attractive looking belts.
Yeah, they look nice.
Yeah, they had a good look. And I remember Eddie being very impressed. He wanted to know, how we did it.
I will get it. All right, there.
That damn rabbit hole I took you down, huh, Crusher?
Well, I'm glad because I've always wanted to get the blue belt replicated. That was the one I really wanted to do. But then I started doing all the NWF belts and went crazy. But Steve Engstrom, he was the one who designed most of our belts. The only one he didn't have his hands on was Mike's U.S. title. And Mike was influenced with the AWA inmate belt. That's why he made it so big. Yeah, made it really big like the inmate belt.
He's one of the biggest wimps here today.
And one of my favorite belts.
Speaking of the inmate belt, guys, Dave Rizwan is making a new version of that is spot on accurate. He somehow got pictures of the real belt of the Japanese collector that's got it.
Oh, okay.
Close-ups. So he's making it right now identical. Like it has raised gem sockets that we never knew.
Crusher going in the ropes.
So yeah, wait till I'll show you the pictures. It's crazy.
So you've got it on order already.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get one. That's my favorite belt.
It's not a very good elbow drop by Mr. Macho.
Inmate was always my favorite.
All right. Crusher getting on knee
You
work.
see, the thing about me, the reason I say I'm the one that took me down the rabbit hole, Wayne, is about 5-6 years ago, I really got into belt collecting. You know, I've always, bought the replicas that WWE would sell. And then
I'm gonna get Kelsey over here and have a few words with him.
Take up too much room, I'd get rid of them. And then, finally, I decided to really get into it. And
see what he thinks.
I'm surrounded right now by about 60-something belts.
Wow.
Yeah. I got all the AWA belts, except I don't have the America's belt. But I got the women's title, I got the lightweight title, I got the international TV title, both tag belts, the old and the new, and the Vern Lawler belt, and then the inmate belt.
Oh my!
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Crusher has this one.
Yep. Road Warrior style. Rocker style.
And by the other style,
Everybody just slams on top of him there with that side headlock.
The 70s version.
Yeah. Nice.
Macho saying no, he doesn't give up. He's screaming.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an AWA mark.
Yeah, myself.
Yeah. I don't know if we did it yet, but Mike and I do a double clothesline that was not planned, and it hurt the hell out of me because the back of my neck. If you like if you're both trying to clothesline and you don't realize it, you really just clothesline each other, and it's a legitimate double clothesline. And I remember landing on the back of my neck. I think it already happened though.
Words from Kelsey. And I think Macho.
See, that's the kind of time where I would tell Mike what I'm going to do. You know, when I have a headlock like that.
Push him off. Oh,
I think I told him leapfrog, but he didn't do it.
Oh, he
He screwed up my leapfrog series.
Turn into a Thez press.
Yeah.
Crusher, look at that.
But I think we still get it off.
Which is illegal in our
I think he realizes he messed up here.
This is legal, but this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Macho's into the ropes. He leapfrogs him. He back leapfrogs him. Oh! I think we'll call that a drop kick, folks. That was like.
Wayne, I think you're right in that section right there.
Possibly.
Macho's down. I don't know what the heck's going on.
So dark.
Yeah. Can't tell.
We got heel commentators here, guys. That's what they're doing.
Yep. You can hear Otto going, "Go Macho!"
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what the heck. That is the oldest trick in the book. Crusher Crossen is no good cheating. Crossen is too stupid to look at us when he got nailed by Mr. Macho.
There's a point in this match where I get a cup of water and I throw it in Mike's face, and he got pissed. He was mad. Yeah. And that didn't help our match by any means. It was one of those just totally improvised things. I just did it on the fly. And he didn't like it.
He's big as what he is doing, you know.
Mike was real stiff with me tonight, though. I remember that he was being very stiff. Like, just not flowing real smooth like he usually would.
Yeah, all right.
I give him that neck breaker was rough.
On, Macho Man.
Yeah.
His shoulder's not touching the mat. Macho's getting up. Punch him to the side of the head. A punch to the side of the head. That looked pretty hard.
Let's see if I grab that water yet. I think
I couldn't tell if I was
I might have already done it.
Well, maybe looking for it now? No?
Nevertheless, he got hit in the head. It's the top rope. He has the count of
Somebody
4 or 5
snapped
to
a
get out.
picture there.
Down on that leg. Serious injuries have spun off from that move.
Yeah, it looked like there was somebody at ringside with a camera.
Well,
Not the one that just went off, but somebody was walking around ringside.
That's usually the one I had. That was my camera then.
So you gave it to somebody to go around and take photos?
Yep. But I see the guy there that took the picture. He actually has a camera strap on his neck. He might have been from one of the like ABC newspapers.
Okay.
Because they would always come and take pictures for the paper.
10 minutes remaining in the match. 10 minutes.
Power slam. Mike liked to wrestle barefoot, so it was very common for him.
All right, 10 minutes left in the match. As you heard it from me, I guess.
Well, until I got my boots, that's how I'd go.
Bye, Mr. Macho.
But these matches at the Armory, you guys, they were always longer. Like they were not, because we had the time to go longer. So the matches were never. I mean, you had a few that were short, but for the most part, the matches would go a bit longer.
Cheating and cheating. Yes, we could say cheating. Yes.
Okay, Sky Sports has a question for you, Crusher.
Yeah, this is where I'll get to that question, but I think I got the water. Yeah, see, like I'm drinking, like I'm telling the ref, I'm just drinking, I'm getting a drink, I'm okay, I'm getting a drink. He's trying to tell me to get the water out. And what I do, I throw it right in his face here.
Come on, Macho. Let's go, Macho!
And Mike, he didn't like it. He wasn't a fan of it. Crusher, how many video cameras were used in this event? This event had 3. The one long shot you keep seeing, and then there's 2 cameras going around the ring.
The slaps in retaliation for the water.
Yeah, that's why he was. Sometimes
Looked a little hot there.
Yeah, we get like that, and that happens at the end of the match again. Let's see that again where we get like that.
And I just noticed we had the plastic canvas.
Yeah, we didn't have their good canvas until 87, 88.
Oh, the Macho Man
actual
kissed
canvas.
right in the middle of the concrete floor. He's slamming his head into it. There could be bloods coming out from this. Macho's running, and here comes Crusher. Here's my chair now.
It's interesting. King Coop's bringing up this question. Have you all ever thought about doing another NWF reunion show? And if you're talking about wrestling, it all did come up when I did the documentary. You know, there was a lot of us that wanted to do it, actually. But I was living in Wisconsin at the time, and I just could not coordinate anything like that. Had I been in Minnesota, it probably would have happened. Because everybody was still in Minnesota that I knew, most of them.
Right.
And
Tim and I were out in South Dakota.
Yeah, you guys are out in South Dakota. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, in the ring wrestling. Because we were young enough then. We were in our 30s. We could have did it, you know?
Yep. But now we're all in our 50s.
Yeah. And I joke with Ricky Henry about getting him in the ring. You know, and I may do a bit with him when I go out to Ireland. You know, it's for fun. You know, it's a segment. But it won't be a whole match. I'll tell you that much. Not at this age. I don't want to be a Ric Flair that's shouldn't be in the ring anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would look like. So that's why I say I do a bit, but I'm not going to do a whole match.
Maybe you'll get lucky when you go out there. They'll do a Mitch the Kid versus.
Feel smart. He'd go for the pin right now. But
Yeah, maybe I could
Crossen
see
being
it when I go out there. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
And you can cost Canary the match.
What I'm checking on right now is Mike got a stinger on that pile driver I did, and I'm just putting a wrist lock on him, making sure he's okay, and he was.
A one.
Yep.
That's what we're doing here.
Trying to get electric.
So a little bit of a rest hold.
Ladies and gentlemen, some electrical difficulties there.
Yeah, they were getting shocked. The microphone was shocking them.
Oh,
the static
no,
electricity.
shoulder to the chin. Oh, what's he doing? Oh, Irish whip. In the clothesline. What's Macho doing? He's up. Oh, no.
So this was the world title versus the U.S. Championship. It was title for title. The old Undertaker comeback. Just get right up and go at him. Yeah, that was my 1, 2, 3, and Mike threw me down. He didn't let me do it. That was the Buck Zumoff move where he'd run up in the corner with the headlock. And
Yep.
Oh, we don't talk about that now.
I know, we don't talk about it now. That was his move anyway.
Yep.
But Macho Man looks hurt. Macho Man throwing across. Taking off his headband. Referee saying, here, give me the headband, ref. All right. I'm honored to have his headband. All right. Into the ropes. Drop kick to the side on his arm.
So Sports Talk, to answer that question, how old were the two of you at this match? This was October 86. I would have been 16. Mike
it might be pretty neat.
was either, I believe, was 15. He was a year younger than me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Macho pushing off the referee. There goes Crossen out of the ring.
Mike was in Coon Rapids, though. He was going to Coon Rapids at the time. And junior high still, I think. There's a good shot of the crowd, though. Seeing, at least that section of them. The the one thing I like, though, that we did on all these Armory shows is having the adult refs now. If you notice, we always have adult refs going forward now on all these Armory cards. Gives it more of a professional look.
All right, Crossen in the ropes. Macho Man, a knee to the midsection.
I've had people comment on this move I do here. He's got me in a full Nelson, And what I do is I break the full Nelson and I do a double back chop. I could never do it now because I can't stretch like that. But I actually could touch my, I could actually touch my, clap my hands backwards. So I did it as, I've never seen it done in wrestling, but that's how I break out of this.
Me, myself, just coming off a suspension.
Where did you find the refs then? Did you were they somebody you knew around your neighborhood, or did they referee other Eddie matches?
No, they were like when Larry came in. Some of these guys were guys he knew, like Ken Boyer.
Okay.
Got him in. I don't know. This guy I think was somebody that Larry knew. Rick Pitts was, you know, Thandar was the one who brought him in.
Crossen favoring that left leg.
He was in the complex, and he just wanted to be a part of the show. We initially brought Rick in to be the president of the league. He was our president, our Stanley Blackburn guy.
Yep.
But then he became doing refereeing.
Is getting beat up, and
it was really awkward with Rick when he was drunk. He showed up at the July card drunk, smashed, just blitzed. And after the third, he was screwing up matches and stuff. And so after the third match, I had to pull him aside. I said, and I remember when I did, I could just smell the alcohol. I'm like, Rick, you got to sober it up. You can't show up like this. I mean, this isn't working. And it was really awkward. I'm a 16-year-old kid telling this adult what to do. But
Yep. Did you have another referee shirt just in case you needed somebody else to go out there and ref?
We had two refs. There was another adult referee who was on that show. So they were alternating matches.
Yeah.
So he took a break and then kind of sobered up enough to go out again. But he never showed up that drunk again. At least not on anything I did. So here's where Mike comes in and we get into it again here. He was mad at me. And all this stuff was, I think, cut out of the DVD, wasn't it, Dave?
Yep.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested in DVDs, we do have them available on NWF Wrestling website.
Well, if it wasn't for Mr. Kelsey demolishing Steenerson, I'm sure he would have been in the corner too. Your man can't make it go away from pie.
And Mike got mad at me. Yeah, this is all kind of real heat here, guys. I remember. So I just give him a couple elbows. Just let him know to knock it off. That's how you would kind of communicate on these things. They just sound like cooler, you know. You just give him a couple shots. And that's usually all it would take.
Has been pandemonium, ladies and gentlemen.
We loved whipping each other with the belts, and Steve hated it, man, because parts of the belt would go flying off, and Steve would have to fix them. So he always hated us doing that.
And now it would really hurt if we whipped each other with the belts.
Yeah. What's Damien saying here? Crusher, that backward slap you did in the match was impressive. This is the first time I have seen you do it in the match. Yeah, I don't think I've ever did it again, but it was just...
Broke the belt, folks.
I did it in that match. I just remember that happening. Because I seen him when he had the full Nelson. It reminded me that was coming up. Yeah, you could hear it. Like camera noise, audio picked it up pretty good.
I want to ring it because I hate it. I'll be right back.
So this is the Barbarians?
Yep.
Yeah. They were kind of our road warriors. But they weren't as big as the Road Warriors physically.
No.
It is the Rock and Roll Express as they take on the Barbarians for the titles.
And Brian Peterson making his return after about a year's absence. He was, see, the problem with bringing Brian back, you know, we bring Brian Peterson back after being away from the show for almost a year. And he's still in 1985 mode, where we have all evolved much more further. So he was kind of out of his element in this match a bit.
I
If you can hear, turn up the
He
volume.
was still probably in the shoot match.
But
Well, a little bit, but just
And the
his
next time you guys
arsenal,
press
his
start,
technique,
set
and
up the
everything. He just
volume.
wasn't at the same level. We had all progressed a little bit where he didn't.
This is
He
gonna
just,
be a very
took a
exciting
break.
match, ladies and
You know what I'm
gentlemen.
saying?
Don't miss
So he
it.
just wasn't quite on the same page. Not that we were experts, but we were a little bit more evolved than he
This
was
will
at
be
this
for
point.
the World Tag Team.
And it'll show. You'll notice it in the match. Because Jerry and Tim, Barbarians, they were good. And Mike Bauer, this guy here, he was good in the white. Peterson was good. He just wasn't at the same level as these three.
Bauer.
Yep.
One half the Rock and Roll Express push back in the air.
Like Mike was very good at.
Never know when you'll turn
Out of
on
all
this
of us, Mike, I think, was probably the best at planning out a match. A lot of the finishes in our committee came from Mike. He was good. He was good. Had a good mind for that.
What a matchup this is. Oh!
That's Brian Peterson in the white that's in the ring now. What I'm talking about.
After the Rock and Roll Express. Ooh,
I don't think you find any wrestling better.
See,
than
just
we
looking
have
at his
right
leg
here,
drop,
folks.
it's
The
not the right
NWF
technique.
All-Star Junior.
I'm gonna. Here I am nitpicking again, you guys. I'm sorry.
can't get any better than this.
That's just easy to
Crusher,
do.
that's just you.
Oh, big
Today.
drop kick
You look
by
back
Von
on it
Dog
now and-
Barbarian. Must be hard for such a big man to do such a good drop kick.
Tim was very agile. And
He
Tim
was.
was also one of those
Big
who,
shoulder to the midsection.
He'd tap you.
Having him in their corner, Barbarian's having
You
him
know-
stand
He'd throw you a flying shoulder. He's gonna hit you.
punches in the
Yep.
midsection.
and you didn't want to test him.
No.
Conan in the ring right now with
Nope. Jerry though, Conan, the one that's in there now, he was super easy to work with. Very smooth.
So none of these other guys ever tried to go to Eddie and get trained, or
Well, I mean, when we did the dual
They're just-
event, they all showed up. I mean, Jerry
Yep.
and Tim were there, and I mean, we all wanted to be a part of it, but somehow we do more with Eddie. But Eddie
Yep.
had his own guys he had to keep filling on the show.
Sure.
So it was like Eddie wanted to do an event with us. It was all his idea. I think he wanted in on our draw, honestly. Because at the time, Eddie wasn't drawing crowds like this.
just because he knows I
Yeah.
am willing.
He
You
did
know,
eventually.
A
but
good Ed Sharkey show would have been like 100 people.
at this time, yeah. In 86 and 85, he wasn't having big shows. So he hears about 300 people at the Armory, and yeah.
oh,
was.
he's seeing money, dollar
Yeah.
signs, yeah.
And then we gave him a big crowd. When we did that dual event in Champlin, it was packed.
Mhm.
Yep.
Where the show he did before that, a month earlier, was half full. But the thing is, I promoted it on our show. I kept saying, we're coming to Champlin Legion. It's a dual event. I advertised it.
Yeah, and he didn't have public access shows, did he?
Not
So I don't think there's anybody else doing it.
He didn't do the access until like 90, 91 he started doing it.
Yeah.
But it was like way late at that point. I don't know how many people were still watching it. Because you started getting satellite now starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then access just kind of, it's a lost thing now. You could never do it today. The channels are still there, but nobody watches it.
do anything to win the match.
It's lost with the other 500 channels, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back in the day when you only had 30, 40 channels,
Yeah, and you're just channel surfing. You're going to come across it and
Channel surfing. That's how we
find
did
out.
it.
Yeah, that's how I came across it.
Yeah, you just click through the channels. Do you remember, Wayne, the first show you came across watching?
Not specifically, no, but just
Or,
I was over
like,
at a friend's house because
roughly-
I didn't have cable. So it was probably one of the studio shows at
Like,
Group
what year did you
W.
get- what year did you get cable?
I didn't get it till much later, but I was at a friend's house who had it.
Oh, and you see it over there.
And so I'd go over to his house after school and watch it. And we're just flipping through channels and we come across your wrestling.
Yep. Do you remember where it was, though? Like, was it in the studio? Or was
Yeah, I think it was the Group W studio. Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have been probably 85, 86.
Yep.
Or, I mean, 84 and 85. That's when we were in the studio.
Yeah.
Tail end of 80, or the beginning of 85, mainly 84, though.
that looked a little rough.
Yeah, well, you know, Tim could be rough, man.
Yeah, a couple words there from the manager, Captain Crunch.
Mike could handle him,
Few
though.
verse words there
Yeah.
from Bulldog the Butcher. I tell it as it is.
But he gives, I know that Thandar, he gives Peterson here in this match coming up. He'll give him a flying shoulder that knocks him on his ass. You'll see it. He literally knocks him. You can see it was a really hard shoulder. And Brian was probably a little bit of a wake up for Brian, I'm sure. Wasn't expecting a hit like that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing about Tim. I mean, real mellow guy until you make him mad.
Yeah.
And now what's this?
Once that switch flip, look out.
The best thing I have seen in my whole wrestling career.
Tim never did good landings though. He'd always land on his feet, or he never could make nice flush landings like we all.
Right.
Like Steve and I were pretty good at that, landing on our back properly, breaking the fall. So I just wonder if that hurt. If Tim, if it ever hurt him while gets landing like the way he's landing.
There you have it. Definitely could be.
Well, I can't remember if this was before or after his accident that he had.
The fans are chanting rock and roll right now.
And it is rock and roll.
Let's see what Sky Sports is saying. I see a big comment from him, Dave. Crusher, while looking back at the Armory events, do you realize now how much you got accomplished at such an early age? These events were so big and pulled off by a 16-year-old. Yeah, you're right, Sky Sports. I forget that. You got to put this in perspective. I was only 16 years old and running this thing and doing a big show like this. Yeah, and at that time period, it was just unheard of. So yeah, I mean, I do, and I sometimes take it for granted now. I can see where people could get realize how impressive that could be, because there weren't very many indie leagues doing stuff like this, let alone a group of kids. Not a big show like this anyway.
Lands him with the shot to the head. Off the ropes.
So yeah, that's pretty cool to think.
I mean, most indie feds were like happy 50 people showed up at a bar game.
Yep.
King Cooper reiterates that is very impressive for someone who was 16 years old, especially at the time. And that's really it. The time period, really. And believe me, I looked. I wanted there to be other leagues. I would remember Wayne, the wrestling magazines had the want ad sections where you could put a lot of people did tape trading and stuff.
Yeah.
I would scan those things looking for somebody maybe having a league like us. Never could find it though, but I always looked. And I thought of running an ad in there just to see if anybody else was doing it.
All right.
You started sending your tapes out nationwide, right? To other public access?
To other
Did you ever hear if there's any other groups that started up because of that after seeing your group?
I never heard. The one thing I did do, though, I did attract somebody in the late 90s that caught the tail end of when I was doing that. And they sent me tapes of what they did in their high school. They did something similar.
Okay.
Bit older, but they were still young. They were more teenagers, older teenagers. And I still have that tape, actually. We traded some tapes.
Good combination.
But was that just something that they, taped on their own? They got a VHS camera.
Yeah, they had somebody
didn't put it onto public access.
They were filming. They did their announcing, but it was live announcing, right?
Yeah.
And they had a ring, and you couldn't tell if the ring was a professional ring or one they made, but it looked good. And they were in the high school doing a show.
Yeah.
It was all right. I'll have to convert that and put it on just for everybody to watch. It was in somewhere in New York, and it was the late 80s, early 90s when they did it. I think it was the late 80s, like 89.
There was that shoulder tackle we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, I missed it. Yeah, you can see Peterson. Did he get knocked on his ass?
Yep.
Brian Peterson. He was a handful, man.
If anybody could handle him.
I mean, he was like, Brian was the guy on the Group W cable days, was the guy you loved to hate. He would get under your skin. He would say things personal. He would really make you mad.
Yeah, didn't he call you Four Eyes or something like that?
Oh, yeah, he would make fun of my pictures in the yearbook and all this shit. Because his sister was in our grade, Brian's sister.
Oh, okay.
I forget her name. Heather Peterson. But anyways, she was in our grade, so he had all the yearbooks, and he would find my pictures, and he'd make fun of me because I'd always get the worst pictures. I had to wear my glasses, and they get crooked, and something would go wrong, and Brian would call me out on it right on the show.
Power in their corner, right where they want them.
I seen your pictures. Why don't you put your glasses on? It may help. Say stuff like that.
There's Sean.
Where am I?
Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah, that was a decent picture. At least I didn't have my glasses.
That was freshman year.
Yeah. That was in. Is that in Anoka? Or was that
Fredmore? Fredmore. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I think you froze up on us.
I did.
I can hear you though. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, you might. What you might need to do is what I had to do is I had to disconnect and then reconnect.
Okay.
And then that fixed it for me. Because you'll just come right back in. So we'll let Wayne disconnect, reconnect.
Yep.
And here's your favorite
one
part.
of the things I talked about that you missed on the DVD.
I never thought we'd see. I don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Thunder the Barbarian is double teaming.
And then he runs him in the ring post.
Yep.
And I don't know if he was juicing or not. It makes me wonder because he went down like he was going to juice. I can't remember how that. I don't think so, but Jerry was old enough.
Yep.
Because he had just turned 18, I think.
Yep, he was getting ready to.
He's going to the
The
Marines.
military.
Yep. That's why we broke up the Barbarians, because Jerry was going to leave us.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good now, Wayne.
Okay, good.
I do not believe it.
Dave, I'm going to let you take over a second. I got to replenish my diet, or my Dr. Pepper. I'll be right back.
Alrighty.
So I'll let you run the show
You know,
for a second.
as I was saying, watching it here, you get to see some of the stuff that the DVD missed out on due to time restraints. You know, like none of this is on the DVD. If I'm correct, that's me helping. Helping him back to the locker room. Yeah, back in this era, Vandar the Barbarian was one of the guys that
Probably he couldn't
you got
handle
stick with him. He'd let you know.
that their time was just up.
I guess you were right, Bulldog. You said.
But as long as you didn't cross him, he was a hell of a nice guy.
Oh, we're already to the main event?
Yep.
This match will be
See, that's
Pretty
the thing
Boy
about our
Taylor
shows.
as he goes against Luscious
We may not be
Larry.
perfectly polished,
Excuse me, Mr.
but they fly
Butcher.
by.
Yep.
Crossen.
You know, it's one of the aspects of the NWF that I enjoyed is we didn't do a lot of cutaway. You're here for action, let's show you the
Yep.
action.
Match after match after match.
Yep.
Much better. All right. Is this Luscious Larry match?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And folks, if you join our NWF Network, this is the quality stuff that you'll get.
For all you know, he's chickened out. I mean,
You'll
I
get
don't
all
know
the
what
footage that you don't see on DVDs.
You got a point.
You get all the fully restored video.
I mean, it is cleaned up. It's nice and clean. It's not as good here though, because we cut the resolution in half to make it for on these shows.
Right.
But this was a tough one to restore because of the darkness. The one that restored really nice was that one we already showed, the '87 show.
Yep.
And the armory, the July armory actually restored pretty good for some reason, even though it was dark.
Well, obviously Taylor has the scale, I believe.
So Pretty Boy Taylor.
He has the scale and a rope, I believe.
He brings a scale and he brings a rope. The rope is 6'6" or whatever, because he wants to make sure Larry really is 6'6". He wants to make sure he really weighs 272 pounds, whatever he said. Now watch the entrance here. He's got lights behind it and everything, and this fog machine going in there, or dry ice machine. So then they open the garage doors.
Uh-oh, what is this?
And the camera will get a shot of it here.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the best shot, but we didn't get enough of it. Cameras weren't ready for it.
Spectacle.
But that was a pretty cool entrance for the time.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the stripper pants and all that stuff that he's using. I wanted to like come out like Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Just be ready to go. Maybe with the T-shirt. And he wanted to do this whole,
That is beautiful, Bob.
We at the NWF had to pay a high
bow
price
tie and
to
all
get him
that
up here on
look
the
and
card
everything.
tonight. Oh, Taylor, settle down.
And that's my only complaint with Steve is he tried to be a tough guy.
Look.
What really we should have done with him in this situation, he should be the Bobby Heenan coward.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was going to say he should be the quote-unquote chicken shit heel.
Exactly. But Steve always tried to be the tough guy and go toe-to-toe with anybody he wrestled. And that was the only thing, that was his only weakness in my opinion with his character.
Look at that spectacle.
Did you see the question about your boots, Dave?
Professional Wrestling Zone.
Yep, I was just looking at it here.
Pro Wrestling America.
Okay.
And now,
he left.
and now
When
he's
did I
going
got your boots?
to the NWF.
It was...
Right around after this show, I think.
Yeah, it was late 86,
I don't know what the
early
purpose is
87,
behind
because
this,
I know I
Crossen.
had
He's
him
gonna
out
try
at
a weigh-in
the...
and a measure up of all
Out
Jeb-
at the...
Did you ever in Brooklyn Park?
So we'll just have to wait and find out.
I don't remember if I did or not.
I'm waiting for the referee signal.
So
No,
Brooklyn
I don't
Park-
think I did have him in Brooklyn Park.
So you got him in early 87 then, because Brooklyn Park, you probably got him for Christmas, is my guess.
Yeah.
Yes. In the
Because
world of
these boots,
professional
Wayne, they were
wrestling.
expensive, That was
Oh, yeah.
a couple $100 to get a pair of boots.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the pants thing you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
So you had to be in that corner, didn't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeff, I'm still waiting for you to find him.
I don't know. I think he
Let's
spilled
see,
some, hair growing for me.
Sports Tech says, Wayne, did you ever think of joining NWF as a wrestler?
I did not.
Never crossed your mind?
No. I probably thought I would get hurt, not athletic enough. So...
Yeah, I couldn't even get him to come up for the drawing, guys. So it's like,
yeah.
apparently I go to him first to ask him to come up to do the $50 grind. That's after this match, so that's coming up. This was a big deal for us, though. Like I really promoted Larry well. Like Larry wanted to have matches and stuff. I said, no, you're not gonna have any matches. We're gonna treat you like Andre the Giant. Remember Wayne, when Andre had come to town, all you'd see was the poster. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I did Larry.
Big special attraction, yeah.
So if you wanted to see Luscious Larry, you had to come to the show. That's how we did it.
Oh, but he wanted to wrestle like on the TV?
Oh yeah, he wanted to have matches
Okay.
and stuff. But Steve build up for it, and I'm like, no, we're gonna save it for the show. Make this a big, attraction.
That's probably why I bought the tickets.
Yeah.
Just to see Larry, yeah.
Yeah. We kind of build him as an outsider coming into the league to take on this loudmouth that doesn't really belong with the kids. That was our thinking. So yeah, he has him step on it. Now the rope had a slit cut in it so that it would break easy. But when Larry grabbed it, he didn't grab the slit part. So he couldn't break it. And he literally breaks it. I remember him telling me about this. So that's why it's taken him so long. So he had to actually bust it. And it wasn't a thick rope, but still.
Yeah.
He broke that rope right with 2 hands. He did it with 2 hands.
I think that was all off the DVD too, Dave, wasn't it? I don't know if that was even on there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I
Might
don't
have been.
remember. I don't think it was. If I remember correctly, on the DVD, it goes directly
into the
I
wrestling.
don't think Larry's entrance was even on it.
I know his entrance wasn't on
A
there.
lot of matches with Taylor, and I know him more than he knows himself. So I'm called here to
Well, looks like I'm at the
my
table.
views on the man. As far as I'm concerned, he
Talking
should be
about
banned
Taylor.
from all wrestling. He comes
Yep.
up with any and everything. Look at the way he treats the
Yeah, that's right where Wayne was.
Yep.
Ooh, and I felt the air coming from under the ring on that one.
Who are you calling?
Getting this ring was huge, though, for us. Getting an actual wrestling ring like this.
Yeah.
Pretty boy Taylor to wrestle. Nice.
Big. Really made a change to the show. Like all of us.
Where did you get the ring from?
So when we did the first Armory show, we built our own ring, and it wasn't the best, but it was suitable. And we had the newspaper ABC did a big story on us explaining how we need to find a new ring because our ring had some problems in that show. And some group out in Hutchinson somehow got that paper and read about it, and they contacted the cable company to get my number. Because remember, no cell phones or nothing.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, we got a wrestling ring out here. We'd be interested in parting way with it if you're interested." And
So you purchased it?
Yeah. So we had just had a little bit of money left over from that Armory card after paying all the expenses. The first one, and I said, and we went out there, and Steve and I drove out there to check out the ring. They had it set up for us, and it was great. And we said, "How much you want for it?" And they're like, "Well, what do you got?" It's kind of one of those things. I said, "All we got off that card left is about $300." He's like, "I tell you what, we'll take $300." And then Steve started bargaining car parts with him for the rest, and gave him some car parts, alternator or whatever. They're car buffs, these two guys. And so that's how we got the ring. $300 in car parts. And they wanted our old ring for whatever reason.
Huh.
Maybe they just wanted the lumber out of it.
Yeah, parts.
But best thing that ever happened for us, though.
Yep.
I do remember the match, though. Like, they had the ring something. They said, "Why don't you guys work a match?" Because they wanted to see us, They read the article.
Sure.
They wanted to see us. So we did. They had these really loosey-goosey turnbuckle pads. And they were, I think they got them from the auto shop or whatever. They worked, but they weren't made for turnbuckle pads. And they were loose. And there was nice breeze out that day. And I went to take Steve's head to ram it in the turnbuckle. And the wind blew at that time. And it blew the pad off, and Steve hit that turnbuckle, and he had a knot on the top of his head.
Oh my!
A big old egg knot. Yeah. and then the guy said, "Yeah, you gotta watch those turnbuckle pads; they're loose." And Steve's like, I thought that was felt kind of.
What's he doing? Oh,
He had to be seeing stars.
So you obviously got new turnbuckle pads.
Yeah, like we've made them better.
Yeah.
They were just way too loose.
And Luscious Larry consulting with his manager, beautiful Bobby Ferrari.
I remember that, though. he hit it like a big lump. So he hit it pretty good.
So you had no idea who these guys were, really, that had the ring? Like, why they would have a ring?
Well, they did a show. They did local stuff in Hutchinson, Minnesota. So they did a couple shows, like in the main downtown area there, just local stuff. But they were done with it. They weren't doing it anymore, so they had no use for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I
just can't. And it was all steel. They had a spring, but there were 2x4s in place. They must have run out of money when they built it, and they couldn't keep making all the steel beams. So some of the beams were 2x4s that would run in the 4 sections.
Oh.
And every now and then those would bust on us, and then we'd have to replace them with other 2x4s. That was eventually we replaced it all with steel as we could afford to. But at first, I'd say there were some steel beams running across, and all the outer shells and all the 4 quadrants were all steel.
What is it, ladies and gentlemen?
Just in those 4 sections, there would be some steel spans of 2x4s. That should be steel beams, but they were 2x4s.
There you hear beautiful.
And they had a few oak 2x4s in there. Those were fine. They wouldn't break. It was the pine 2x4s that kept busting on us.
Had to make sure we had our drawing ready, which will be taking place after this match. Next event will be February 6th on a Friday evening.
But yeah, Steve, you know, and I remember Steve and Larry had this match planned pretty well. That's why I kept telling them you got to keep announcing the time because they were all going by the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because how they were going to do their finish, they needed to know where they were. So yeah, we had to keep announcing, like, 5 minutes into the match, 10 minutes into the match, we had to keep doing that. But they had Larry was pretty integral in planning this match. They had it down. This was a match where it wasn't just the finish. They had a lot of moments planned.
Pretty Boy Taylor now dominating remarkably. A kick to the face.
See, I'm telling Jason, you got to announce 5 minutes.
Did you do that yet?
Remarkable, ladies and gentlemen.
So were you down there keeping time for him, Sean?
Yeah. I think that's why I was at the table, to be honest with you,
Okay.
just to make sure that this went over.
This is despicable. Pretty Boy Taylor.
But, because the way they were going to do the finish, they had to do it. They had to know where they were at. And then Larry was so gassed out.
Both of these men
At the end, he screwed up the whole finish, and we had to extend the time.
Conference between
Ken Boyer says, give him another 2 minutes. Because Larry literally gassed out. He wasn't prepared to go this. I don't think he realized how much work this was going to be, in a ring. This is Larry's first
already
match.
looking kind of gassed.
Man, it's first time. This is his first match ever. Steve. I always said you could put a crash dummy in there with Steve, and Steve will put the crash dummy over. He was good for that. Steve was really good at selling. I just wished he would have played the cowardly Heenan type, especially in a match like this. Elbow drop.
Oh, no!
But Larry had the look. He really had the good look, for this. That's
why. Oh, that guy's jacked.
Yeah.
Pretty Boy Taylor
huge.
Stunned at this point.
Like we said, $1 million body.
There you see Pretty Boy
10-cent brain.
Taylor on the floor.
Yeah.
What's Larry gonna do? No, Larry wants out.
Larry in the beginning, though,
Taylor's
listened. He
struggling.
really, for all of this, he listened to my advice. But then eventually he started letting it all go to his head, and then he thought he knew better.
And there you
And that's
see
where
the
things started going
giants in the
sideways
ring,
for us.
Consulting with his manager, beautiful Bobby Ferrari.
Larry has come back from that beating by Pretty Boy and has got the advantage totally.
Luscious Larry is like a famous brand of a
King
watch.
Coop
Takes
saying
a
this was
licking
a
and
pretty
keeps
decent
on
match. It
ticking.
was. It really was. I know Kelsey, Kelsey was commenting on Instagram saying I was all good up to this match. But a lot of the guys have mixed feelings when it comes to Larry because they know what he did to the show. We tried to take it over. And there's still a lot of hard feelings out there because of it.
Well, I mean, also
Even to this
a
day.
lot of hard feelings towards Pretty Boy.
Steve too. I don't want to leave. Even though I made up with him, when he came on as a guest, though. But a lot of the guys have not forgiven Steve. They look at Steve and Larry as one and the same.
Yep.
As far as what they tried to do. But Steve, at least I want to believe that he meant what he said when he regrets what he did.
It'd be nice to believe it, but
Beautiful Bobby Ferrari.
The hamstring pull. I was getting into the conversation with Ricky on that. I was telling him about the hamstring pull, and Ricky Henry's 16 years old. Goes like this, hamstring pull? I had no clue what that is. That's a move that's no longer.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Luscious Larry is just like.
You have to teach those youngsters, Dave, the language back in the day.
This moment.
Yep.
He gives me a hard time for not knowing all the new technical terms they use, but he can't really hold a candle to our terminology sometimes either.
And clothesline.
I would say by the end of 86 and into 87, Steve was bumping just as good as anybody in the business as far as bumps. Not talking about actually being able to put a whole match together, but his sheer bumping was just really good.
Whoa.
You know, those are scary moves when you start getting press slammed and stuff.
That's pretty high up.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", so.
Yep. He was probably legitimately 6'3", 6'4". We'd say 6'6", 6'7", but he was. And he wasn't 272. He's more around. Well, he probably was actually. He was probably 272.
That I'd believe.
But Larry was on steroids, and
no way.
Oh yeah. But he'd get that attitude. You know how people get really mean and angry?
Mm-hmm.
He would get like that. There were times where he was like that, and I remember seeing it. And I didn't know it was the steroids at the time, but now knowing how that works on your body, I get it makes sense to me now.
Yep.
You know.
Both of these men have the physique and charisma.
King Coop says, good storytelling, playing the heel pretty well. Yep. He's doing heel. Yeah, Steve is a good heel. Just like I said, don't like his tough guy attitude.
Yeah, not chicken shit enough.
Yeah, he needs to be more of that.
Yep. Especially when you're facing somebody as big as Larry.
Right. You can have your moments where you're going to dominate like he's doing. That's fine.
Yeah, after a sneak attack or something.
Right, but you got to come to a point where you got to be running for your life.
Mm-hmm.
He does a bit.
Oh!
Shaking the ropes. Pretty boy Taylor down on the floor. I don't believe it.
So the plan was really for these two to take over the Kid Wrestling Federation?
That was
still with the kids?
According to Steve, it was Larry's brainchild to do
Yeah?
this. They wanted to just take it over and make their own adult league.
Okay.
Get rid of all of us.
So leave the kids out, but they couldn't have started their own adult league on their own.
Well, they tried to. That's how NCWA started.
Okay.
That was Larry and Steve. Larry mainly, but Steve going along with it. And they were going to co-promote with us. So I would do all the work, which is what I did.
And they reaped the benefits.
And they would reap the benefits. And
yeah.
It ended when they took all the money in the ring. And the last show we did at the Armory at the time. That was the straw that was too far for me.
Oh no! What's he doing, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, that was all Larry.
What's this? No!
Larry thought they could make money with it. And that's what they wanted to do. Because nobody was being paid at this point.
Luscious Larry, what is he going to do?
You did it because
at this point, we were all doing it because we loved the business.
Yeah.
We wanted to be a part of it.
What?
It was all just a fascination. Just wanting to be in that ring. It was just an addiction.
At the last moment.
And it wasn't even so much to be in front of the crowd as much as it just being in the ring.
At this moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I've joked in the past with every relationship that I've had. I always told the women I've been with, I'll never cheat on you with another woman, but I've always had a mistress. And that's
to the lower back area.
1 minute.
So now
I've even joked with my fiance that if we were to ever win the Powerball, I'd build a pole barn and I'd order a ring.
So we said 1 minute remaining, but they didn't get the cue, I don't think.
And that was supposed to be the go home.
They should be wrapping it up here with their finish. So Ken Boyer, luckily the ref, sees what's happening with all this and tells us to add time. We add 2 more minutes.
Now Ken's telling him time to go home.
30 seconds left.
But see, Larry, I think what it is, he's gassed out, Dave. He is gassed right now.
Definitely.
Oh, he's been gassed for a few minutes.
No, a turnaround.
Because they had this all planned out for, like, they'd have their moments where Steve was in control, then Larry would be in control, and Steve, and And now it's Larry's comeback.
Do it real slow, real slow.
Oh, jeez. To keep the count going. This is not good. They're not going to make it. And Ken realizes it. Give him 2 more minutes. Give him 2 more minutes.
Yep, you just heard Ken.
So now they pretty much get back on track, I think. Yeah, he hit Larry with like a foreign object.
Probably hit him with the scale.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention Bobby Ferrari in Larry's corner. His manager, beautiful Bobby Ferrari. That's the guy in the red out there. He was a funny guy. Like, I used to host the Saturday show with him. He was my co-host. God, he was funny. He could make you laugh.
Ken and Bobby had always put.
So see, Steve just falls on him, has his leg over him, and he gets the 3 count. That was all the plan.
Oh,
like a fluke pin. All to set up the rematch, which happened with Eddie Sharkey at the Champion Legion. But their match at Champion Legion was not nearly as good as this one. This was a much better match than the Champion one.
That's certainly not comfortable.
That's the Champion Legion. Steve did double duty.
And so Steve had already wrestled twice this night, right?
This is 3rd time, actually.
Yeah.
Steve could go, though. Like, Steve and I did our Broadway. We did a 60-minute match at the July card, so Steve could definitely go distance in match. Like, he had really good conditioning for matches and cardio, yeah.
Now
he
the
did.
$50 judge.
Bobby Ferrari. Well, I got the thing. We're gonna do the drawings. Let's see if I ask, like Wayne says, I went to him first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me first, but we'll see.
If we see it here.
Challenge him to the rematch.
Yep.
And did you already have the Champion show set up?
I think we did. We did have the date pen. Let's see. I want to just see if I go over to the corner. Steve's got to get him out of the ring. So now I got to find somebody for the crowd. See, I have the box of tickets. Let's see if I go to the Wayne here. And I got a $50 bill. You know, $50 is nothing, but man, it seemed like a lot back then. When do I get? I hope we have it on video. I know I got the guy coming in.
It'll cut out just before then.
Let's watch. No, because the guy I actually picked comes in the ring. At some point, though, I'm going to go and find somebody. So let's see. Oh yeah, Steve's coming in he wants to make a challenge to Larry still. See, this is what I don't like. I'm trying to be a tough guy. No, he shouldn't be. That's not how you want to talk as a small guy against Big Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there. See, I must have already asked you because now I got this guy coming in instead. Yep. But he came from the same spot where you were, so.
Oh, I think that's my friend Jim Hartman. It is. It is, yeah.
So he's the one.
He's in our class, yeah. Yep.
So he's in our grade?
Yeah.
I always thought he was older than
me. He's the tall guy. No.
Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah.
And that was where the camera cut off.
Yep.
So that makes sense. It would have been your friend because it would have been the next person then. Yeah.
Yep. He must have said, all right, I'll go in. Yep.
That's
well, that was fun to watch. My first live pro wrestling show.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Yep.
I wanted to show the pictures.
Yeah.
So just so everybody, you've seen the armory,
You saw our armory show.
Armory, how many people were there? And here's just like a shot of it. This was all the people. Like this is a what do you call it? This is three different video shots put together to show the whole thing, because the camera wouldn't pick this kind of shot. It's like a makeshift panoramic type shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get an idea of all the people, right? So now let's look at the wrestling event that Wayne went to at the Anoka Armory in 2005 to kind of show you that how many people were there. There's Eddie Sharkey, everybody, in the yellow. We always talk about him.
Yep.
So that's
he's
him.
one of the referees that night.
Referee. And then let's bring in this next picture. I don't know who that is.
Just a couple of local guys, Shimdog and Aaron Corbin. Yep.
And you can see some of the people there on the right corner there in attendance. They had a couple rows, it looks like. And
yeah, and your rows, I'm sure, would have went all the way to like almost by the ring corner.
Yeah, there was maybe three.
But you got a big gap there where there's nobody around that corner.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at. You got 4 pictures. Here's another one. Now here you can see all these empty chairs. Even.
Oh, and that's Lenny Lane there, who was a local guy here in the 90s, but he also went to WCW and was a cruiserweight champion.
Okay.
I believe he beat Rey Mysterio for that title.
Wow.
And then the other guy is Magnus Maximus, who wrestled in the WWF for a short period of time. I can't remember his name. It took the name from Bam Neely. That's what it was. Very short period of time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
And then
but yeah, all those empty chairs there.
Those empty chairs. And then there's Sheik Adnan Al-Casey. People remember him from back in the day.
Yep.
Doing that famous thing with the sword. Where he tried to hit you with it.
And I see 3 people in that shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I don't know, maybe it wasn't promoted right.
It was not. So to be a little bit fair, it was supposed to be originally take place in Spring Lake Park, a couple of towns over. And then it had to get moved to some other place because it wasn't going to happen at the high school there in Spring Lake Park.
So
and they came up with the Anoka Armory, and yeah, they didn't do much advertising for it.
Yeah, because if they would have poster dropped Anoka, they would have had more than that, I would think.
They should have.
Now here's something I want to show that I didn't even remember this, so I didn't even write about this in my book because I didn't remember it. I only found this out from going into the Minneapolis Star-Tribune archives and digging this up. But this was the press coverage from the Tribune for us for this event. The event was October 18th. So leading up to that in the Spectator Sports, you notice they're covering us on Saturday, and then on Sunday, the AWA at the Civic Center. I would have never booked this show knowing that they were at the Civic Center on Sunday, because you don't want to do that. That's not a smart planning.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if there's one big card going on in town, that might affect your sales and, how many people come to your show, even though they're different nights, but it's not the kind of thing you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
But I planned my armory thing out probably 2.5, almost 3 months in advance to get this date. So I don't know what the AWA is doing. And then this is what happened. And then in the following Monday's paper on the 20th, you notice they put their card and our card side by side. I just think this is cool to see equal press coverage like this. And now they don't show our attendance, but if you notice AWA, they only drew about 5,000, right? Civic Center.
Yep.
Attendance 4,900.
Like 4,900.
That's about a quarter house, roughly.
Yep.
So I think it's cool that we sold the armory out pretty much, even though it's 1/10 of their crowd. But they had some big names on this thing. Look at this: Jimmy Snuka, Kurt Henning.
Well, they misspelled Kurt, but
they did.
Yeah.
But the Midnight Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
Decent names. Jerry Blackwell. So the AWA had some decent guys, but
they were definitely not at their peak though at that time.
No. Certainly not. They have sold the Civic Center out.
Yeah.
During the Hogan years and everything. But I just like this because I think it's cool.
That's awesome.
the equal press coverage like this is kind of a cool. I remember when we brought Brian Zane on, he thought this was neat to see because we had brought this up with him. But yeah, so that is trying to think. Oh, I wanted to show you guys the tickets. So these were the tickets that, you know, children's tickets were always yellow and the adults were blue, but that were the prices that people paid. Either $3 for kids or $4.50 for adults. I got my stupid idea of charging more for the kids went away after the first Armory card, folks. For some reason, Wayne, I thought it'd be smarter to charge more for the kids.
Really?
Because I knew they were a bigger fan base.
Sure.
So I figured there'd be more of them coming.
Uh-huh.
So I charged more for the kids in our first show. Yeah, so that's the tickets. And then this was the program guide that night. 75 cents for a program. And it was the original name was the Fall Super Spectacular Card. The Fall Brawl Super Card is what we called it on the DVD release. So, but that was supposed to be Luscious Larry. Yeah. So, but you know, that was just it. We'd do these shows. We would sell all the tickets. We'd do up these program guides at 75 cents a pop, and you'd sell a couple hundred of them. That's just more money coming in. Then you'd sell more raffle tickets for the drawing. Then you got the concession stand going, selling soda, pop, chips, and everything. And this all just adds up to the revenue. I learned real early on promoting, you know, as far as how to generate all these little extra. And this is not even showing you the advertisers that I would get sponsors in this program guide that would pay us for a spot. So the banks and the car dealerships, they'd get their business cards put in our program guide. So that they would pay like $25 to be in the program guide, I think it was. So there was another sponsorship, you know. Plus Rapid Sports Center had their banner hanging up. They paid for that. I think it was $75 we got for that banner to be put up. So all these just little things that just add to it. And then, you know, that was it. That was the big one for us. Big sellout.
Well, of course you had Dixie Dave on the show.
Well, this has been a long one, guys. So I'm gonna kind of wrap it up, huh? Because my voice is going. But
you know, to all of our viewers, you know, you look at it like this: we picked Wayne out of the crowd to join us.
Yeah, everybody's welcome to come on. Yeah.
You know, I know Crusher has his chat that he does. If you want to be a guest on the show, just talk to Crusher.
Yeah, we'd love to. Remember that time, Dave, we did that show where we had like the open show where we had invited everybody to, and we didn't have a big audience then, but we had people come on with us. Tom Hubin and all those guys that come on to, you know, talk and just share stories, really. Wayne, what was your deal? Like, I know I was an AWA guy.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when they were in their downward spiral.
Yep. Yeah. All the way to the end. But once we got WCCW here from Dallas, that became my favorite. The Von Erichs and the Freebirds.
You're talking about on the TV.
Yeah, on TV. Yeah, because they never came up here locally, which I didn't see my first AWA show until I think they did Twin Wars 90.
I remember
at the St. Paul. Yeah, so I think that was my first AWA event. And then after that, one at the Anoka Ramsey Community College, right by where Dixie Dave grew up there. They did an event there. And then another one at the Coon Rapids High School.
Yeah.
And then I actually went to their last show, which was down at the Bloomington Kennedy High School, which I believe is their last live event.
The AWAs?
AWA, yeah. The main event was the Destruction Crew versus Greg Gagne and Wahoo McDaniels. Where I saw a fan with the program, and Wahoo had bled, and he put the program on his face to put blood on the program.
Jesus.
Quite a souvenir that would be.
Because Wahoo
blood-soaked program.
Wahoo was always bleeding.
Yep.
But Twin Wars was interesting because they brought Brian Pillman and Ric Flair in.
Exactly. Yep.
But at that time, I was working for Eddie Sharkey, so I got into the back. I was in the back. I was in the back for that show, and you know, so we got pictures with Ric Flair and everything. At least Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And but I do remember Tully Blanchard. Remember he had that manager Christopher Love, that big fat guy.
Yep.
Okay, so Christopher Love comes up to us and learns that we're in the Indies. Said, I can get you guys booked and all sorts, but give me your number. I can get you guys on other shows that he did all these promises. Next thing you know, this guy's a weirdo. He starts calling me and Troy wanting to like get together with this guy was gay or something. And it was just like awkwardness 101. And then I'm like, that's it. I've done. I'm not talking to this guy anymore. It just freaked me out. But yeah, because then I learned years later, Tully was as well, and they were that's why he was his manager or something. Who knows? Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that really freaked me out. I remember that. That's what I remember about Twin Wars. But, yeah.
Yeah, that card at the Anoka Ramsey Junior College, that was my first opportunity to see the Midnight Rockers.
Oh, yeah. I think they wrestled the Nasty Boys at that one.
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, at one point the Nasties threw Shawn Michaels out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He tumbled a couple times up to the ring or the ring barrier.
Yep.
He landed face down right on my shoes.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I always jokingly say I've had Shawn Michaels kissing my feet.
Well, it's interesting. Remember the Rockers finisher? Marty Jannetty would pick him up for the suplex and Shawn Michaels do the cross body block.
Yep.
Right. So I stole that from them when we did a 6-man tag, me, Jeff Dinsmore, and Dion, and I said, let's take that move, but I've never seen it done, but let's do a double suplex and I'll do the cross body. But the hard thing about that is you got to clear. See, when the Rockers do it, they can cheat to the one side and land and not worry about crushing the guy's head that's doing the suplex. Yep. When you do a double, I had to clear both of their heads. So I had to get a lot of height. And I remember when we did it in Irondale High School, I did this move and I got so high to clear their heads that when we landed, me and Chris Logan, our pelvises like clinged. I remember feeling it. It was like a stinger just in the pelvis bones because we, all that between up that high and coming down and onto the mat and hitting. It was like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think we're going to do that one again. Somebody could have got hurt, but it looked cool. It did look cool.
Yep.
Before I bring in what's coming up on Forward, I want to also just get this last comment in because Gizmo took the time to ask it. He says, did the paying patrons like Larry, or did they think it was odd that someone his age was wrestling with a kids wrestling program? What do you remember on that, Dave?
Honestly, I don't really remember whether people thought it was weird that he was on the show or not.
Not on that show.
No.
No, I think that actually might have been one of the main reasons I went. Because, there's 2 adults on the show. So
kind of an attraction, an added attraction.
Yeah, especially with how big Larry was there. So
it definitely, the whole venue was one of the things that, and it was a mixture of all of it, you guys, because Eddie couldn't draw crowds like this at the time, and he had all adults. Mm-hmm. So I think it was the fact that we were kids doing this was an attraction in of itself. And then we had this big match as well. So that was a kind of a combination, but we were drawing this kind of crowd. Like our first Armory event, we had 350 people, which is what caught Eddie's attention. So we didn't have any adults on that one. So part of it was our own following and everything.
Yeah.
But I know at the time, like Jason Crossen will tell you this was the direction we were kind of wanting to go a little bit with the show. We wanted to kind of start transitioning more into this. We all knew we were growing as kids into adults. So part of our thinking was, let's start making the transition. Let's start having some adult matches mixed in. And that was what the whole NCWA NWF combo was all about. They'd have the adult matches, we'd have the kid matches. And it was supposed to be this beautiful relationship that worked. Yeah.
Didn't work.
And you'd have crazy kids like me that would wrestle adults or kids.
Right. All right, guys, it's been a long show, so we're going to just get to the what's coming up next here on Forward, and we're going to call it a night. So I'm just going to show you the graphic. NWF Forward next week's going to be a great one. It's Tank from Pure Pro Wrestling in Michigan with Joe Bird and company over there. They got a great operation going on with their indie scene, and this guy is a big guy, and he's He's trained not only with Joe, but he's trained with Ricky Morton and Ricky Morton School. He's got said some NWA tryouts. It's going to be a real interesting conversation. He started out very young as well.
Yep.
And a little bit older. He's a bit older now, but still fairly young guy. And I'm looking forward to this one, Dave. It's going to be a good show with Canary Kid, myself.
Yep.
That's going to be next Thursday. And of course, that's an earlier show, everybody. We start it's not 9 p.m. Eastern. It starts at 5 p.m. Eastern because that's just for Ricky's benefit.
Yep.
Because otherwise it would get super late. It would be 2 a.m. for him at our normal time. So,
and, you know, being honest, Ricky is still a high school student, so.
Yep. And Ken Coop's saying he's going to check out the live stream on the 24th. Should be good. Yeah, Tank. It's going to be a great one talking to Tank. I'm looking forward to it. But Wayne, thanks for coming in, man. This was fun.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It was fun to watch that first event, which I had very little recollection of. So,
but still,
it was fun to see that. Yeah.
But you were there, and it was your friend.
Yep.
We learned it was your friend that you went to the show with.
Yep.
That actually drew the ticket for us.
Yep. I was called first. You went to me, but he said he'd do it. So.
Yep.
But yeah.
You know, I vaguely remember that now that you mention it. I remember somebody saying no at first and having to go to the next person.
That was me.
I do remember that. Isn't that crazy how these memories can come back? That's the fun part about having stuff on video, because it's just like you didn't even know it was your friend at first until we see him.
I did not remember that he actually went in there and did it. So
yeah,
that's funny.
I wish the camera would have kept rolling so we could have seen who actually won. I don't remember who won the money, but
it wasn't me.
I know.
Yep.
And it's kind of, I'm thinking to it now. You know, I only did the $50 cash drawing because I was thinking whatever we could do to get people to come in and buy a ticket or whatever. This is another little added attraction.
Yeah, a lot of promotions to do like a 50-50, whatever they got in tickets, they'd give the winner 50% of, you know.
Oh, is that what they do too?
Yeah, they still do that. Yep.
So that's all.
You just buy a raffle ticket. They'll sell them by like $1 for one or $5 for a hand, a hand length.
Right.
So, but yeah, I still see that at indie shows.
We were selling our extra tickets, I think, for 50 cents a ticket at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people would buy them. Like they
sure. They're like $50. Whoa.
$3. I'll take $3 worth or $2
mm-hmm.
worth. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's been fun, guys. This is a long one. This is probably the longest show, Dave, we ever did. Almost 3 hours here. Holy smokes. Yeah, so we're going to call it a night, but thanks for watching us. Wayne,
if I could plug my Instagram, you can go to Instagram, see mine there at WA McCarty. You can see a lot of my old photos that I've been posting.
So it's WA McCarty, basically, right?
Yep.
So WA, and just like you see it spelled, McCarty. Yeah, everybody follow.
Exactly.
I should have asked you for that. I could have put that up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I could have put that in mine where, like, Warrior says 6-time world champion.
Yeah.
I could have put it there. Yeah.
And now that's something that it's just so you know, a 5-time champ is a.
Oh, I don't have my glasses on, so I couldn't read it. Sorry.
But my young friend Ricky Henry and Canary Kid, he's like, now I put that under his, now he wants to try to beat the record.
Oh, yep.
So we'll see.
If I may say, if you want, you can clip this and play it for Ricky. Ricky, just remember, Crusher may be a 5-time champion, but he's also a 5-time loser.
And Dave, how many times did you hold the world title? That's be a big goose egg.
The damn champion kept ducking me.
Yep, I keep ducking him. We'll keep going forever, guys. So hang with us here, Wayne, while I run the credits, and we're going to bid you farewell, right, Dave, as you like to say?
Yep. Stay safe. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, we'll see you next week, guys.